There is a phone call that happens every October, all across America, and it lasts about 10 seconds. Somebody's mother, somebody's grandfather, somebody who watches the weather the way sailors watch the sky, calls and says, "First frost tonight. Bring in the tomatoes. Cover the beds." And all over this country, people step out into the blue evening with old bed sheets in their arms and drape them over the last of the garden. And they do not think of it as religion, but it is. Friend, it is the oldest religion there is, because 3,000 years ago, on stony hillsides, above a wine, dark sea, the Greeks felt this exact night arrive, the first cold breath moving through the grass, the green world starting to pull itself down into the dark, and they knew precisely what it was. It was a mother who had lost her daughter once, in a meadow, on a morning nobody thought to write down, and who begins her grieving on this night every single year, right on schedule, and the frost creeping across your lawn at this very hour is the hem of her long dark coat. Tonight, you and I are going to lie here under that cold sky, and I am going to tell you her daughter's whole story. The girl who was taken, the queen she became, the only being in the universe who ever held citizenship in the land of the living and the land of the dead at the same time, and paid the toll for both. You are allowed to sleep through any of it. Friend, that is the arrangement. The seed under the winter field does not need us awake. Now, let me show you a meadow. It is spring where we are going, which should tell you already that we are traveling backward, against the calendar, into the warm side of the story. The meadow is on the island of Sicily, in the old accounts, high meadow country above the sea, and I want you to build it around yourself the way you would build a memory. Long grass, waist-deep in places, moving in one slow piece when the wind comes through, bees working the clover, the sea below, flat and bright as a coin, and scattered across the green, a dozen young women with baskets on their arms, gathering flowers, calling to each other, the daughters of the great river, ocean, sent here to be companions to one girl in particular. There she is, friend, kneeling in the grass, a little apart from the others. Look at her carefully, because the entire ancient world is going to spend 3,000 years looking at this exact moment, painting it, carving it, arguing about it, and she has no idea. She is young, on the very edge of being grown. Her basket is half full. Violet, crocus, wild, iris, hyacinth, the ordinary sweet inventory of a spring hillside. Her mother is far away today, working the grain fields of the world, and her mother is never far away, which tells you something about today already. And in the grass in front of her, one arm's reach from her fingers, there is a flower that is wrong. I do not know a better word for it. Friend, and neither did the Greeks. It is a narcissus, but no narcissus that ever grew by any road you have walked. From a single root, 100 blooms, a whole white and gold bouquet standing up out of the earth in one impossible stem, and the fragrance coming off it is so sweet that the old hymn says the wide sky above smiled at it, and the whole sea smiled at it. That is what the poem says. The sky and the sea, smiling, but watch the small things. Friend, watch the way you would watch a quiet street. The bees will not land on it. The grass around its root grows thin, and the other girls, without one of them ever deciding to, without a word passing between them, have all drifted to the far side of the meadow, the way a herd drifts, the way birds leave a tree together, for no reason anyone can point to. Only this one girl heard it calling. Only this one girl came close. Her fingers are one hand's width from the stem. The whole meadow has gone still around her. Grass, beas, sea and all, holding its breath. And right there, friend, we stop. Hold her hand exactly where it is, because I need you to look at it. This small sunburned hand, hanging in the air, above a flower. And I need you to hear what I am about to tell you, because it is the reason we are here tonight. That is the most famous reaching hand in the entire history of storytelling. Under that flower, friend, the ground is hollow. Under the hollow there is a road, and the road runs down farther than any road you have ever driven. Down past the roots of the mountains, down to the shore of a black river, and past the river. In a palace the sun has never entered. There is a throne standing empty. It has been empty since the world was divided. It is waiting for her. Years from this frozen morning, this same hand is going to rest on the arm of that black throne as if it grew there. And the greatest men of the age, the monster killers, the ones with the songs written about them, will come down that long road while they are still alive, on the most desperate errands of their lives. And they will stand in that dark hall shaking. And here is the peace to carry with you all night. Friend, the person they will be afraid to look at, the one whose name they will not say out loud, will not be the king. It will be her, the girl in the grass, the girl 1 hand's width from a flower. The Greeks knew her whole life by 2 names, and they were careful about which one they used. The way you are careful in a house where someone is sleeping. In the spring they called her Kore, which simply means the maiden, the girl, and in the other season they mostly did not call her anything at all, because her real name was the kind of name you did not say after dark. Put those 2 names in your pocket. Friend, at the end of this night, in the grey hour, they are going to open the last door of the story, and I promise you it is worth the wait, but you cannot understand the hand, or the flower, or the hollow ground underneath it. You cannot understand who planted that flower, or what it was bait for, or whose permission was asked, and whose was never asked at all. None of it will hold together, friend, until you know how 3 brothers once divided the entire universe among themselves, in the dark after a war, with a helmet and a handful of lots. So leave her there in the grass. She is safe while we are gone. That is the strange mercy of this story. Friend, the frozen moment is the last safe place in it, and I am in no hurry to let it go. The flower can wait. Flowers are patient. So is the one who planted it. Before any of this, friend, before the meadow and the girl and the flower that was wrong, there was a war in heaven that lasted 10 years. And when it ended, 3 brothers stood on the wreckage of the old universe and had to decide who got what. They were the sons of Cronus, the old king who had swallowed his own children to keep his throne. And that is a whole dark story, and most of it is not ours tonight. What matters to us is how it ended. The youngest son, Zeus, was hidden away and grew up free, and he came back and split his father open, and out of that terrible opening came his brothers and sisters, alive, grown, blinking in the light, and the order they came out matters. Friend, so hold it. The last one swallowed was the first one out. The first one swallowed. The eldest brother, the firstborn of that whole shining generation, came out last. He had been in the dark of his father's belly longer than any of them, longer than anyone, in the whole history of anything, had ever been in the dark. His name was Hades. Keep your judgments in your pocket for now. Friend, tonight you are going to meet him before anyone tells you what to think of him. The 3 brothers won the war together, and when it was over, they did the thing brothers have done with an inheritance since the beginning of time. They drew lots. The old poets say it plainly. No counsel, no negotiation, no wisdom of the elders. 3 lots in a helmet, shaken, 1 lot for the sky, 1 lot for the sea, and 1 lot for everything underneath. The dark below the roots of the world, Zeus drew the sky, and became the Thunder King. And you know the rest of that story. Poseidon drew the sea, and took his horses and his grudges down into the green water. And the eldest brother, the one who had waited longest in the dark, reached into the helmet last, and unfolded his lot, and read what the universe had assigned him. Everything below. Now watch him, friend, because this is the moment that tells you who he is. And it is a moment made entirely out of what he did not do. He did not ask to draw again. He did not appeal to his brothers, and he had standing to appeal. He was the firstborn. In any mortal house, the whole estate would have been his. The old stories record no complaint. He was handed the one kingdom no god would ever visit, the one address in creation with no sunrise in it. And he nodded, and he gathered his things. The Cyclopes, the one-eyed giants of the forge, had made each brother a weapon for the war. For Zeus, the thunderbolt; for Poseidon, the trident; and for the eldest, they made a helmet of darkness, and whoever wore it could not be seen, not by men, not by gods, not by the sun himself. Sit with that gift a moment, friend. One brother got the loudest object in the universe, one got the sea, and the eldest got the power to disappear. And he put it on, and he went down to his kingdom, and in every way that matters. Friend, he never really took it off again. Come see the place. I want to walk you through it slowly, the way you walk through a house you are deciding about, because this kingdom is the other world of our story. The second country our girl in the meadow is going to belong to, and almost everything people assume about it is wrong. It is not a furnace down there. Get that picture out of your head. It belongs to other religions. The land below is cold and quiet and enormous. Grey meadows rolling away under a sky that is not a sky. Fields of a pale flower called asphodel, silver and ash-coloured, nodding in a wind nobody feels. 5 rivers run through the dark, and their names are a whole education in what the Greeks thought about dying. One is the river of woe, one is the river of wailing, one is fire, one is the black river Styx, the river of the unbreakable oath, the river even gods swear by, and even gods fear to break. And the last, the gentlest one, the one furthest in, is Lethe, the river of forgetting. One drink from Lethe, and your whole life lets go of you. Friend, every summer, every face, every grudge, gone like breath off a window. Some souls line up for it. Think about that longer than you want to. At the border there is a ferryman, old as the rivers, and he takes 1 coin for the crossing. That is why the Greeks buried their dead with a coin under the tongue. Friend, 1 small piece of silver pressed into the mouth by somebody who loved them. Bus fare for the one trip everybody takes. 3,000 years later, archaeologists are still finding those coins, still resting where the kisses left them. And at the gate there is a dog. You have heard of the dog. 3 heads, a mane of snakes in the old pictures, the most famous guard animal in the history of the world. But here is the detail almost nobody gets right. Friend, and it is my favorite detail in the whole geography. Cerberus does not keep anyone out. The gates of this kingdom stand open. Anyone can walk in, any time. The road is wide, and it runs downhill the whole way. The dog is there to keep you from leaving. In the whole design of that place, friend, There is exactly one rule, and the dog is its enforcement. And the rule is this: everything that arrives stays. Now, the king of all this. The Greeks were so uneasy about him that they flinched from his actual name, the way you would not say certain words in a hospital hallway. And the name they used instead is the single most surprising fact I will hand you tonight. They called him Plauton, the wealthy one, the rich lord, and they meant it. Friend, it was barely even a metaphor. Every vein of silver in every mountain belongs to his kingdom, every seam of gold, every gem still sleeping in the rock. All of it is inside his borders. And more than that, the wheat itself, the seed corn that goes under the ploughed ground every fall and comes up as bread, spends its winter in his country, the richest god in the universe. Friend, owner of every treasure that has ever been or ever will be dug up, and think now about the shape of his life. Nobody prays to be sent to him. Nobody builds him temples on the bright hillsides. The other gods do not visit, and he does not climb the mountain for the family dinners. He rules the largest nation there is, and it grows by the hour, every hour, forever, and it is the quietest, and he governs it, by every account we have, with a kind of iron fairness you find nowhere else in his family. No bribes work down there. No famous name gets a better seat. The beggar and the king cross on the same boat, pay the same coin, drink from the same river. His is the only kingdom in creation. Friend, where every single citizen is treated exactly alike. So before we go back up to the sunlight, let me lay two true things side by side on the nightstand, and I am going to leave them there all night, touching, and I am not going to explain them, because the Greeks never did either. Here is the first thing. His brother Zeus, up in the bright air, went through the world like weather, wearing disguises. A swan here, a bull there, a shower of golden rain, and left broken hearts and half-god children scattered across every kingdom of the earth. The sea brother was not much better. That family's loves, friend, are a long ledger of wreckage, and the Lord of the Dark, the one everybody feared, the one whose name they would not say, appears in that entire ledger exactly nowhere, in the whole vast library of the old stories, with every poet of 1,000 years looking for scandal. The quiet king below kept faith with one queen, one, for the length of eternity, the most feared god in the universe, friend, and the most faithful, and those turned out to be the same god. And here is the second thing: that same careful, patient, honest king, that same God who never once in eternity took what was not assigned to him, is going to stand at the window of his grey kingdom one spring, looking up through the roots of the world at a light he was never dealt. And he is going to want, one time, one thing. And when this family wants something, friend, you have seen it before. If you have ever kept a night watch with me under a different star, they do not court, they do not knock. Somewhere above him, on a green island in the bright sea, a girl is filling a basket with flowers, one hand's width from a narcissus that has not been planted yet. It is time you met her mother. Here is the strangest fact I will ask you to believe tonight, friend, and it is the foundation under everything else. In the world where our story begins, there was no winter. None. It had never happened. Not once. The idea did not exist. The earth gave harvest after harvest, the way the sun gives, morning after morning. 3 crops a year in the good valleys. Wheat, standing chest, high in fields. Nobody remembered planting because the planting never stopped. Fruit in every month. Green, that never once turned. If you had walked up to a farmer in that world, friend, some sunburned man leaning on a fence at the edge of his barley, and asked him what he did in January, he would have squinted at you kindly and asked what a January was. Cold months were not a law of nature. Friend, that is the whole quiet engine of this story. Winter was not built into the world at the foundation. Winter arrives partway through, on a specific day, out of a specific heart. And by the end of tonight you will know that heart the way you know the weather. It belongs to a goddess named Demeter, and I want you to meet her properly, because the paintings mostly get her wrong. They give you a stately lady in robes with a crown of wheat, serene as a courthouse mural. Fine, but the Greeks who actually prayed to her knew a different figure, and you can see it in what they put in her hands. Every other god on the mountain carries an emblem of rank. Friend, the king carries the thunderbolt. His brother carries the trident. The archer carries the silver bow. Demeter, in statue after statue, carries a farm tool, a sickle, a sheaf of cut wheat, held the way a worker holds it, low and easy. At the end of a long row, she is the only god on Olympus with dirt under her fingernails. Friend, and I mean that with all the respect in the world. And so did the Greeks. The rest of that shining family governed from the mountain top, the way owners govern. She worked the property. She walked the actual furrows of actual farms in the heat of the actual day. She taught the first farmer who ever farmed how to break the ground and what to do with the seed. And when the plough was invented, the old one said, she was standing there. Every loaf of bread on every table in the ancient world was her signature. Friend, the Thunder King ruled the sky, and the sky is magnificent, but you cannot eat it. The whole human race, every single morning, woke up hungry inside her department, and this goddess, this working goddess with the strongest quiet power on the mountain, had one daughter. The Greeks worshipped the two of them as a single thing. Friend, and this is real. You can read it in the old inscriptions. Whole cities kept one altar for the pair of them and wrote on it simply, "To the two goddesses." No names needed. The way you might say the Smiths. Everybody knew. Mother and daughter. One worship. One flame. In the whole crowded family tree of Olympus, full of feuds and rivalries and fathers swallowing sons, there is exactly one bond the old stories treat as seamless. And it is this one. The daughter's name, in those bright years, was Corée. Now stay with that name a minute, friend, because I handed it to you in the meadow, and I am going to press it into your palm again here, and I want you to feel how strange it is. Corée is not really a name at all. It is the common Greek word for girl, the maiden, the daughter. Naming her, that is like naming your child, springtime. Friend, it is a description, wearing a name's clothes, and it tells you exactly how the world saw her. She was youth itself, the green blade of the whole family, the daughter of the harvest walking around in sandals. Nobody in that sunlit world could imagine her needing any name with more weight in it. Keep it in your pocket. Friend, right where I put it, in the grey hour at the end of tonight. That little name is the key that opens the last door, and when it turns, you will hear the whole story click. Her childhood, if a goddess has a childhood, was the most protected season any being ever spent. Demeter worked the wide world. Friend, but she arranged her daughter's world the way you arrange a room for something precious. She settled her on that island meadow country, far from everything. And I want you to notice what it was far from. Away from the mountain and its politics. Away from the harbors and the trade roads. Away Above all, from the crossroads where gods go by, because Demeter had watched her brothers move through the world. Friend, she had seen the swan and the bull and the shower of gold and the trail of ruined girls behind them. Some of them ruined by promises and some by force, and none of them ever asked. She knew her family, so she built a distance and called it a meadow. For company, the daughters of the great river, ocean, gentle girls, good girls, an honor guard disguised as playmates, for a fence, flowers, for a roof, her own attention, because wherever on earth the mother was working, some part of her was turned toward that island, the way a compass needle stays turned, and the daughter grew up inside that attention, the way you grow up inside a climate, never noticing it, never needing to, warm all the way through, and it worked. Friend, let the record show it worked, year on year on year. In the world, without winter, the girl filled her baskets, and the mother filled the world's. And nothing bad happened. Nothing bad had ever happened. And there was no reason written anywhere that anything bad ever would. Only, friend, listen, lean close, because I want to say this part quietly, the way it existed, which was quietly, in all those bright years, in all that love. There is one small silence in the old accounts, and it is this: nobody ever asked the girl what she wanted. It was not cruelty. Hear me. It was the opposite of cruelty. It was a world so safe and so finished that the question never came up. Wanting was for incomplete things. Friend, and her world was complete. The meadow was full. The basket was full. What was there to want? Hold that silence gently. It is not an accusation. It is just a door nobody knew was standing open. One more thing before the shadow enters, because it belongs here, in the sunlight, while everything is still whole. Of all the arts Demeter taught the human race, the deepest one sounds, the first time you hear it, like madness. Here is the seed. She taught them. It is alive. Now dig a hole and bury it. Think how that must have landed. Friend, the first time, burial was for the dead. And here was the goddess of all growing things, teaching people to take the living seed, the precious seed, the seed you would eat if you were hungry enough, and put it down into the dark of the ground, under the dirt, out of the sun, and walk away, because she knew the oldest secret in her whole department, the one the entire night you and I are keeping runs on. The dark is not the opposite of life. Friend, the dark is where life waits. What goes down into the ground in its right season comes up again, greener and more than it was. Every farmer in every county of this country is, right now, this very October, betting the mortgage on that exact promise. She taught the whole world that lesson. Friend, she just did not know yet that far below the meadow, in a kingdom with no seasons at all, there was a king who had spent his entire existence in the dark, and who had recently begun to think, for the first time in eternity, about what it might mean to bring something living down into it. The rarest event in the whole ancient universe, friend, was not an eclipse, and it was not a comet. The astronomers of heaven could set their clocks by those. The rarest event was this: the Lord of the dead leaving his kingdom. He almost never did it. Why would he? Friend, every road in creation already ran downhill to his door. His nation grew by the hour without him lifting a finger. The other gods came and went across the bright world on their errands and their appetites, and the eldest brother stayed home. Decade on decade, century on century, the fixed point at the bottom of everything. When he moved, the old stories treat it like a mountain moving, And one spring, he moved. How it started? Friend, honesty. Because you and I have kept our whole night on honesty. The old accounts go quiet here. Nobody tells us the moment he first saw her. Some of the later poets guessed at it, and their guess is the one I will hand you, because it is the one that feels true to the geography. They said there are cracks in the world, friend, seams and hollows, caves that go down and down, places where the two kingdoms nearly touch, and light falls through them the way daylight falls through the boards of an old barn. And they said the king below, on some errand along his own high borders, passed under one of those seams, and through it, far up, in a green meadow, on an island, in the bright sea, a girl was gathering flowers. That is all. That is the whole event. A man who had lived his entire existence in the dark stood still under a crack of light. Friend, and in the light there was springtime wearing a body, and something that had been asleep in him since before the lottery, since before the war, since the long dark of his father's belly, opened its eyes. Now watch what he does next, because it is entirely in character, and the character is the tragedy. He does not go to the meadow. 100 gods would have gone straight to the meadow. Friend, you have heard those stories. The swan, the bull, the golden rain. He goes up instead, past the meadow, all the way up, to the marble hall on the top of the mountain, to stand in front of his younger brother, the king, because there was a law. Friend, one of the oldest on the books, and he was above all else a lawful god. A daughter's marriage was a contract between her father and the man who asked. That was the whole legal universe of it. And her father was Zeus. So the two brothers stood in that bright hall, the lord of everything above and the lord of everything below. And the eldest asked the youngest for his daughter's hand. And I want you to watch Zeus think. Friend, because you can hear it. The way you can always hear a powerful man doing arithmetic he does not want on paper. If he says no, he insults the one brother who has never once asked him for anything, the firstborn, the landlord of every soul that will ever live, the God you do not want holding a grudge across eternity, standing in front of him with a single request after all this time. Saying no has a price, and it is a price with no ceiling on it. And if he says yes, out loud, in the open, then he has to tell Demeter. And Zeus knew his sister. Friend, he knew exactly what she was. The working goddess. The one power on the mountain his thunder had no answer for. Because you cannot bolt a wheat field into growing. Telling Demeter that her daughter was promised to the land of the dead was not a conversation. Friend, it was a war. In his own house. With the one goddess who held the keys to every harvest on earth. So the king of gods and men looked at the one decision in the universe with his own name on both sides of the bill. And he did the thing that powerful men have done with such decisions since the invention of power. He nodded. That is all. Friend, no decree read out in the hall. No wedding announced. No feast. No witnesses called. The old hymn holds the whole transaction in a single dry word. It says, Zeus consented, and I have always thought it is the coldest word in the poem. A nod is a masterpiece of a certain kind of man. Friend, it commits him and leaves no fingerprints. It can be remembered as permission or forgotten as nothing. Whichever way, the future breaks. The daughter was given, and the giving was silent. And the silence was the plan. Nobody asked her, friend, and nobody asked her mother, if you have kept a night watch with me before, under a brighter and stranger star. You have heard that first sentence, and you know the family it comes from. This is the house where a woman was promised on a mountainside once by a goddess she never prayed to. to a herdsman she never met. And the bill for that promise burned a city off the map. The women in these stories are decided about in rooms they are not in. It was true under that star, friend, and it is true under this one. And the Greeks kept writing it down, over and over, without ever once looking away. And that refusal to look away is exactly why we still read them. Now the weapon, because there was still a problem. Friend, a practical one. The girl never left the meadow, and the meadow was ringed with watchful company, and her mother's attention lay over the whole island like a climate. A wedding by force needs the bride to come to the door, alone. So the conspirators went to the oldest power there is, older than the brothers, older than the lottery, the earth herself, deep Gaia, grandmother of everything, who owed Zeus favors and thought in ages. And they asked her to grow something, and Gaia grew a flower. You have seen it. Friend, you stood over it in the first minutes of tonight. One root, 100 blooms, white and gold, a fragrance so sweet the wide sky smiled and the whole salt sea smiled, planted with a gardener's precision at the exact edge of the meadow where the girl liked to wander, just past the line where her companions thinned out, the most beautiful thing ever grown. Friend, grown as a doorbell, grown so that one particular girl would kneel at one particular spot on the crust of the world, directly over the hollow place, and reach. The deadliest thing in the meadow did not look like a weapon. It looked like the best gift in the field. If you have watched a night through with me before, friend, you know that trick already. You have seen it done with a necklace, and you have seen it done with an apple. And here it is again, wearing petals. Because this family never changes its method, only its jewelry. Beauty is the bait. It was the bait then. And at the far end of tonight, I will show you the same trap still working, stacked in a cooler in an American grocery store, in October, wearing its own red skin. So, the last morning of the world, without winter, it arrived looking like every other morning. Friend, which is a thing the last mornings of eras have in common. The girl came out with her basket. The daughters of ocean spread across the grass. The sea lay flat and bright as a coin below, and the bees went to work. And far away on the mainland, Demeter walked the wheat rows of the human world, easy in her heart, her attention resting on the island, the way it always rested, finding everything in order. No shiver ran through her. Friend, no dream had warned her. And before you think less of a mother's instinct, know this. The Greeks were clear on it. Gods do not get premonitions about gods. Foreboding is mortal equipment. Friend, it is the discount heaven pays to creatures who can die. The goddess felt nothing at all, and the not feeling was itself part of the design. The last tile of it, laid by her own brother. Down in the meadow, a girl noticed a flower that was wrong, and was the only one who heard it calling. Her fingers, friend, are 1 hand's width from the stem, and this time we do not stop. You have been here before. Friend, the long grass, the half-full basket. The girls drifted to the far side of the meadow, the bees refusing, the sea flat and bright below. When I froze this morning for you at the start of our night, you stood over that reaching hand knowing nothing, and now you stand over it knowing everything. You know who grew the flower, and to the inch where he planted it. You know about the nod in the marble hall, the driest word in the whole old hymn. You know the road under the hollow ground, and the coin, and the dog that only guards the road out. Down at the bottom of the world, a team of 4 black horses has been standing in harness since before this morning began. Friend, and a hand in a dark glove is holding the reins very still. The only person on this hillside who knows nothing is the girl. So watch her, the way the whole ancient world watched her. Friend, and let the hand finish. Her fingers close on the stem. She pulls. The root gives. The way roots give. With that little tearing sigh. And for one heartbeat she has it. Friend, the whole impossible 100-headed bloom. Up out of the ground and into her arms like a bride's bouquet. And its fragrance rolls over her. And she is smiling. The old hymn does not say she was smiling. I will tell you she was smiling. Nobody holds a thing that beautiful and does not smile. Then the birds stop. That is the first sign. Friend, and it is small. The way the first sign of anything real is small. Every bird on the hillside. Silent. Between one wing beat and the next. Then the wind quits. All at once. The way a conversation quits when a door opens. And the grass stands up straight and still. And the bees hang in the air, like nails, driven into nothing. And into that silence comes a sound. Friend, and I want to build it for you carefully. Because the girl hears it twice. She hears it first through her knees. A shudder, deep and slow, coming up out of the ground itself, through the soil, through the bone, the way you feel a heavy truck 3 streets away before you ever hear it. And then she hears it with her ears. And by then, friend, it is too late to be a warning. It is only an announcement. The meadow opens, not an explosion. Friend, get the war pictures out of your head. This is worse. The earth parts the way a wound parts, the way heavy curtains part. A seam of darkness running out through the grass, with a sound like the biggest tree in the world coming up by the roots. And out of that darkness, up into the golden light of the last spring morning of the old world, come the horses, 4 of them, black as the space between stars, black as things that have never once been outdoors. And behind them, a chariot, the color of night, with a king standing in it. And the whole team takes the slope of daylight like a wave coming over a seawall. He does not circle. Friend, there is no chase. That is the terrible efficiency of it. The whole abduction takes about as long as a stumble. The chariot cuts the meadow in one curve, the way a scythe cuts. And an arm comes down, and it takes her around the waist, out of the grass. Mid-step, mid-breath, and the wonderful 100-headed flower drops out of her hands, and her basket tips over in the green, and the horses are already turning. She is off the surface of the world. Friend, and the surface of the world barely noticed, and she screams. One scream. Friend, the old hymn is exact about it, and its exactness is the saddest thing in the poem. She cries out one time with her whole voice, and the name she cries is her father's. She calls for Zeus, the highest and the best. The poem says, because that is what you scream for when the ground breaks. You scream for the strongest thing you know. She does not know. Friend, she has no way on earth of knowing that she is screaming for help to the very signature at the bottom of the deed. The nod that opened this ground was his. Her rescue call went straight to the desk of the man who ordered it. And the desk, friend, had arranged to be empty that morning. But a scream like that does not just die. Friend, it hit the mountains and rang. It crossed the water and rang. And in all the wide world, all its islands and all its kingdoms, that sound was heard, truly heard, by exactly 2, deep in a cave. In the soft gloom she preferred, a quiet old goddess named Hecate, a lady of thresholds and crossroads and the space between things, lifted her head. She heard the cry with perfect clearness. Friend, and she could not see its face. Caves have no windows, and she held what she had heard, and did not put it down. Remember her. Friend, She matters twice more tonight, and far up in the blazing blue. One other heard it, and this one saw everything too, because seeing everything is his entire profession. The sun, friend, the great eye of the sky, the witness of oaths, driving his burning team across the middle of the morning. He watched the whole event from lights up to lights out. The flower, the seam, the arm, the turn. And he said nothing, and his horses never broke stride. The sun sees everything. Friend, if you have kept a different night watch with me, you know this about him already. And you know one thing more. He keeps what he sees like a hot coal. And eventually, friend, he hands it to someone below. The chariot reached the falling seam. The horses went down into the dark, the way divers go into water, without fear, going home, and the girl's last sight of the world. Friend, the poem keeps it, was up, through the closing crack, grass against the sky, light going thin. Then the earth met itself over her head, and I want you to hear how completely, friend, because this is the detail I cannot shake. The ground healed, the broken flowers stood themselves back up, the seam sealed without a scar, grass over the wound, and inside 10 heartbeats. That hillside was a spring meadow in every particular, bees back at the clover, birdsong returning, sea flat and bright as a coin, no wheel marks, no pit, no sign. Friend, that is the true horror of this morning. And the Greeks knew it. Every disaster leaves evidence. Friend, a burned barn keeps its char. A flood leaves its waterline. This one tidied up after itself. The scene of it erased itself. And left, in the whole green world, exactly one witness object. A basket, lying on its side in the grass. The flowers still fresh, and far away, across the water. Friend, at that same moment, in a wheat field on the mainland, a goddess straightened up like someone had spoken her name. The hymn says pain took her heart. Friend, seized it, before any news existed, before any word had shape, the way a rope snapping in the deep of a house is felt in every room of it. She tore the veil from her hair. She dropped it in the furrow, dark cloth on ploughed ground, and she began to run. And here is where I leave this chapter. Friend, on the sound of it, a goddess running, the lady of the standing grain, the patient one, the one who moves at the speed of seasons, running across her own fields with her hair coming loose, toward an island where nothing at all appeared to be wrong. The basket lay on its side all afternoon. Friend, the flowers in it did not even have time to wilt before she found it. Nothing else was ever found. There is a poster, friend, and you have seen it your whole American life. On the telephone pole, on the grocery store corkboard, taped inside the gas station window, a face, a date, a word across the top in tall letters, and the word is missing, and under it a line that breaks your heart in its plainness. Last seen wearing. Somebody printed that poster at a kitchen table. Friend, somebody is out right now in a car, driving the same 6 roads again, because the roads are all they have. 3,000 years before the first one of those posters. Friend, there was a mother with no poster to print, and what she did instead is this chapter. The old hymn counts it out in numbers, and I am going to keep the numbers, because grief with numbers on it is the kind you can trust. 9 days, for 9 days. The hymn says, the Lady Demeter wandered the earth, not flew. Friend, and mark that well, because she could have flown. She is an Olympian. The wide air is a hallway to her. She could have crossed the whole map by morning. She walked, and any searcher in any county in this country could tell you why. Friend, from the air you see the shape of the land. From the ground you see the things. The thread caught on the fence wire. The one sandal print at the stream crossing. The place where the grass lies wrong. Searching is groundwork. She put her feet on the dirt of the world she had taught to bear food. Friend, and she walked it like a field she was gleaning. Row by row, island by island, kingdom by kingdom, in her hands. 2 torches. She kindled them. The old ones said, at the fires of the burning mountain, at Etna itself, and she carried them day and night, both of them, one in each fist. And stop on that picture a moment, friend, because the strangeness of it is the point. Torches at noon, a woman walking the bright roads of Greece under the full sun, holding fire. It tells you what she already understood in the marrow, before any evidence. Friend, that the place her daughter had gone was dark. She was not lighting her own way. She was carrying light for a girl who might, around any next corner, in any cave mouth, at the bottom of any well, who be sitting in the dark, waiting to be found. Every search party since, friend, every line of flashlights moving through the woods at 2 in the morning, walks behind those 2 torches, whether it knows it or not. 9 days, friend, and now the hymn gives you the other numbers, the ones that measure what was happening inside her. No ambrosia, no nectar, not one bite, not one swallow, the food of the gods untouched for 9 days, and no bath. Friend, 9 days. The same dust, the same dress with the veil torn away. Understand what that means for one of the deathless ones. God's feast. Friend, it is half of what they do. It is how they wear their immortality. Lightly, at a table, she had put immortality's comforts down the way you put down everything. Cues, work, name. When the one call comes, there was nothing left of her routine. Friend, there was only the question. Wearing a body, walking, and the world. Friend, the world she had fed since the invention of bread, gave her nothing back. That is the bitter stretch of these 9 days. She asked everyone. The hymn says it plainly. She questioned gods, and she questioned mortals. She asked the birds of the sky for a true message, and asked the shepherds on the hills and the fishermen shaking out their nets. Anyone, everyone, and nobody would tell her the truth. Friend, and I have thought a long time about that word. Would. Some of them, most of them, truly knew nothing. The meadow itself had known nothing. The crime had swept its own floor, but some had heard something. Friend, a rumor with no edges, a sound in the ground on the wrong morning, and they looked into the face of this ragged, burning-eyed woman and heard the sighs of the names her question was circling, and they became very interested in their nets. Fear does that. Friend, fear is the second silence, and it is always deeper than ignorance. So picture the 9 days from above. Friend, the way the uncaring sky saw them. A single figure with 2 points of fire, moving along the coast roads, up the goat tracks, through the sleeping villages, standing at last in the meadow itself, holding her torches over a tipped basket of flowers that told her everything and nothing, where the trail ends. Friend, ask anyone who has stood there. Where the trail ends is where the mind goes dangerous, because a mind must have a story, and with no story given, it will begin to write its own. Each draft worse than the last. She was in the 10th night. Friend, at some black crossroads of the world, when she saw another light coming, one torch, held high, moving toward her too, and under the torch a face. Friend, an old, quiet face out of the elder generation, the generation before the mountain, before the thrones. Hecate, the lady of the crossroads herself, come down from her cave, come looking, friend, not for the daughter, no, for the mother. She had been carrying her one small piece of the truth for 9 days, waiting out the fear that silences everyone else, and being older than the fear, she outlasted it, and she came and stood in the road and said what she had. I heard her. Friend, that is the whole gift. I heard the cry. I know the hour of it. I was in my cave, and I saw no face, and I can put no name to it. But I heard your daughter, and she called out, and it was real. You are not mad, and you are not wrong, and it happened. Weigh that gift honestly. Friend, it answered nothing. No place, no name, no door to knock on, and it was worth more than everything else the whole world had offered in 9 days, because it was true, and because of what came with it, which was herself. The old goddess did not hand over her news and go back to her cave. Friend, she fell in. She lifted her own torch, beside the mother's too, and from that hour there were 2 women walking, and the night had 3 fires in it instead of 2. The Greeks never forgot that piece of the story. Friend, Argus Larter, in the carvings, wherever the mother goes, the old lady of the crossroads goes just behind her, torch up, patient as stone. They made her the escort of the searching and the guide of souls in dark places, and every culture on earth has some version of her. Friend, the neighbor who does not say it will be all right, because she does not know that it will. She says colder and better words. She says, you will not do this alone. And she said one thing more. Friend, there, in the dark of the 10th night, and it turned the whole story like a key. My ears heard it. She said, but there is one whose eyes miss nothing. He keeps the ledger of every deed done under his light. And he was overhead that morning. And whatever there is to see, friend, he saw it. 2 torches turned east. Friend, then 3, up at the rim of the world. The horses of the dawn were already in harness, and the one witness who could not claim he had been looking elsewhere was about to drive up into the sky, straight toward 2 women standing in his road. The sun has a road, friend, and it never varies, up out of the Eastern Ocean, across the top of the world, down into the Western Sea, every day since days began. The Greeks gave that road a driver, a god named Helios, with a chariot of fire and a team no hand but his could hold. And they gave him the one job that comes with the route. He is the witness. Every oath sworn under the open sky is sworn in his hearing. Every deed done in daylight goes into his ledger. Courts called on him. Friend, kings feared him. And no curtain, no locked gate, no fog was ever thick enough to file a claim against his eyes. And on the 10th morning, as his horses came up, streaming light out of the eastern water, there were 2 women standing in his road. They did not wave him down. Friend, they simply stood, on the high ridge where the light lands first. The mother with her 2 torches, and the old lady of the crossroads with her 1. 3 small fires burning in front of the biggest fire there is. And the great team slowed, and stamped, and stood, hooves of flame idling on the morning air. Because even the sun stops for a mother in the road, everything stops for that. Friend, or ought to. And Demeter asked her question for the 10,000th time. But this time it had an edge on it that 9 days of grinding had put there. And this time it was aimed at the one being in the universe, with no possible answer except the truth. "You see everything," she said. "You were overhead. My daughter screamed under your light, and I heard nothing. But you, friend of oaths, you saw. Tell me what you saw. Now, Helios is not a cruel god, friend, and the hymn is fair to him. He did not stall and he did not soften it. He told her, he pitied her. And then he opened the ledger and read out the entry. And there were 3 facts in it, and each one landed heavier than the one before. Your daughter is not lost, he said. She is taken. The earth opened by arrangement and she was carried down into the dark below the world. The one who took her is Hades, he said, the Lord of the dead himself. Your own eldest brother. She is in his house, at the bottom of everything, past the rivers, behind the gate, the dog watches. That is where your road ends, and no road of yours, lady, goes there. And then the 3rd fact, friend, and the sun said it, the way you hand someone the last piece of a puzzle whose picture you wish you had never seen. None of it moved without permission. He said, the match was made above before it was made below. Zeus gave her, sit with her a moment. Friend, in the silence after that sentence, there are 2 kinds of terrible news, and 9 days of dread had braced her for only one of them. The first kind is the broken door. Your child is taken. There is an enemy. He has a name and an address, and everything in you turns to iron and points at him. She was braced for the enemy. Friend, she had been bracing for him for 9 days. But the second kind of news has no brace, because it comes from inside the walls. The second kind is finding out who handed over the key. Her daughter's father, her own brother, just hing she sat beside at every feast of heaven. The god her scream-filled daughter had cried out to by name, while the ground was closing. He had known before it happened. Friend, he had weighed her daughter against his own convenience, nodded once in a bright room, and gone on with his mourning. The door was never broken at all. It was opened, from the family side, with the family key, and Helios. Friend, with the whole ruin of that now lying in the road between them, did the thing that good-hearted people have done at gravesides and hospital doors since the world was young. He tried to find the bright side, and he found the wrong one. Come now, he said, and you can hear him meaning well. It is no shameful match. He is not some nobody. He is your own blood, first drawn of your mother, and he rules a full 1/3 of everything there is, as sons-in-law go. Lady, a king of that size is nothing to weep over. Then he shook the reins. Friend, because the day has a schedule, and the schedule does not grieve. And the burning team leaned into the climb, and the sun went up the sky to keep the morning appointment he has never once missed. And the light he left behind him lay on the ridge, like something spilled. She did not scream. Friend, mark that. 9 days of walking had used up everything in her that screams. What happened instead? The hymn says, is that a grief more terrible and more savage came into her heart, which is the poem's way of telling you that something in her changed its state. Friend, the way water changes when the cold finally reaches all the way through it. Grief is warm. Friend, grief runs and searches and begs at farmhouse doors. What stood on the ridge when the sun had gone was colder than that, and stiller, and it had stopped asking the world for anything, because it had learned in one sentence that the world's management was in on it. And now watch what she does. Friend, because everything that follows tonight, the famine and the frost and the empty altars and the surrender of heaven itself, everything grows out of this one quiet decision, on this one bright morning. She did not go up the mountain. Feel how enormous that is. Friend, Every grievance in that family went up the mountain. It is where the power sat, where the shouting was done, where wrongs were argued in the marble hall in front of the assembled family. She had standing. Friend, she had a case that could have cracked the floor of heaven, and she looked up at that shining summit where her brother sat with his settled arrangement and his deniable nod. And she understood something that changed the shape of the war before the war began. Up there, they were all of them insiders. Up there the matter was already closed, sealed by the two biggest names in the universe. And a mother's fury, however righteous, would be managed, friend, soothed, seated, handled, voted down by gods who dined together. So she turned her back on it, on the mountain, on the family, on the whole shining government of everything. The hymn says she withdrew from the company of the gods, friend, and went among the cities and fields of humankind instead. And as she went, she folded her glory away, dimmed herself the way a lamp is turned down, and pulled on the one disguise that is invisible in every village on earth. She made herself an old woman, grey, slow, dusty at the hem, the kind of grandmother age that eyes slide past on any road anywhere, past hope of children. The poem says, past notice, past everything except a second look that nobody ever gives. Hold the symmetry of it, friend, because the story built it on purpose. In one season, both of them left the world that was theirs. The daughter was dragged down out of her country against her will, into the kingdom of the dead, and the mother walked down out of hers by choice, into the kingdom of the dying, which is what the gods, on their honest days, know the human world to be: two exiles, friend, one forced, one chosen, one going down below the ground, and one going down among the mortals. And between them they left the halls of heaven, a little emptier and a little colder. Though nobody up there had yet begun to feel the draught, they were going to feel it. Friend, give it a few chapters. Nobody starves the landlord like a farmer. But first the old woman on the road needs somewhere to sit down. It has been a long 10 days. Friend, even for a goddess. And up ahead, a day's walk shy of Athens, there is a small town on a low hill by the sea, with olive trees, and a spring of good water, and a stone, well at the edge of it, where the road comes in. Remember the name of this town, friend, not for what it is, which this morning is nothing much, for what it is going to become, which is the holiest address in the ancient world. The town is called Eleusis, and 4 girls with bronze water jars are walking down to the well. Every town in the old world had its well, friend, and the well was more than water. It was the town's front porch, its newspaper, its clock. Everybody came to the well, and so the well saw everybody. And if you wanted to take a town's pulse, you did not go to the palace. Friend, you sat down by the water and waited. There is an olive tree beside the well at Eleusis, and in its shade. On the morning our road arrives there, an old woman is sitting. She has been there a while. Her dress is the dark of mourning and the grey of dust. Her head is bent, and she is doing the thing that old women alone at the edges of towns have always done. Friend, which is nothing, visibly, at all, and the town flows past her the way water flows past a stone. A farmer with his cart, boys with a dog, not one head turns. Friend, and understand. This is the disguise, working exactly as designed. She has made herself out of the one material no eye lingers on. She has been the most looked at absence on that road all morning. And then, friend, 4 girls came down from the king's house with bronze jars on their shoulders, laughing about something, the way sisters laugh, And they got their water, and they had every reason in the world to walk right back up the hill. And they stopped. I want to slow all the way down here, friend, because in a story crowded with gods and chariots and the opening earth, this small human moment at a well is the hinge the whole night turns on. And the Greeks knew it, and they built everything that follows on top of it. 4 teenage girls looked at an old stranger the whole town had walked past, and one of them, friend, or all of them, we are not told, and it does not matter, did the thing that costs nothing and is somehow the rarest event in any century. They saw her, they crossed over, and greeted her respectfully. Old Mother, the hymn has them say, and they asked her the 2 questions you ask a stranger. Who are you? And why do you sit out here, away from the houses? And then, friend, before she had even finished her careful lying answer, they were already working out how to help, and here is the detail that puts the knife in. Friend, quietly, the way this poem likes its knives. Look at what they are. 4 daughters. Friend, young, bright, right at the age, the exact age. The old woman under the olive tree is looking up into 4 faces that are, every one of them, the age of the face. She has been hunting across the world for 10 days, and they are leaning toward her with their jars set down. Being kind, being alive, being somebody's unstolen daughters. The hymn does not say what that did inside her. The hymn does not have to. Friend, you know, anyone who has lost anything knows what it costs to be helped by the very shape of what is missing. She gave them her cover story. Friend, and it was a good one. The way her stories were always good, because the best lies are woven out of true thread. She said she was called Doso, said she had been carried off by pirates from Crete, taken over the sea by force against her will, and had escaped them on a foreign shore and wandered far, and did not know this country, every beat of it. Friend, borrowed from the truth of her own daughter. Abduction, the sea of distance, the strange land. A woman moved across the world without once being asked. She hid inside her own grief and wore it as a biography. And then she asked, humbly, the way the old ask, whether there might be work in some good house for a woman of her years. A nurse, she said, a keeper of children. She could hold an infant, she said, and hold him well. The girls went up the hill glowing with their find, friend, and came back with word from their mother, the queen. And the word was come. And so the goddess of all growing things rose up out of the dust and was hired. Friend, hired as help by a human household that believed it was doing a kindness to a refugee. There is a whole sermon in that, and I am not going to preach it. The Greeks just told it, and let it shine. Her name in that house was Doso, and the house was the house of Kelios, king of Eleusis, and his queen was called Metanera. And now, friend, come stand at the palace door, because the poem is about to do something with a doorway that the old world never forgot. The old woman reached the threshold and stepped up onto it, and for one instant, friend, one broken instant, the costume slipped. Her head brushed the roof beam. The doorway filled, floor to lintel, with a light that had no lamp in it. And the queen, looking up from her chair with her infant son at her breast, saw it. Friend, saw something standing in her door that was taller than the door, and awe took her. The poem says, awe and pale fear, and she did not understand what she had seen. And it was already gone. An old woman in dusty black stood in the entry, small again, grey again, waiting to be told where to sit. Keep that flash of light in your pocket, friend, beside the name Curie. The story is going to pay them both off before morning. One at a fire, and one at the end of everything. The Queen, to her lasting credit, friend, did not order the strange grandmother out. She offered her the seat of honor instead, and the old woman refused the bright couch, and would take only a plain, low stool, and sat, and would not speak, and would not smile, and would not touch food or wine. Friend, and the great house went quiet and awkward around her sorrow, the way houses do, until Iambe, every palace has one. Friend, and thank God for them. Iambe was a serving woman, old herself, quick, entirely unimpressed by gloom, and she planted herself in front of this silent statue of a guest and went to work. Jokes, friend, rude-ons. The hymn says so with a straight face. Jesting and mocking, the kind of talk the poem politely declines to transcribe, and I will decline right along with it. The humor of women who have birthed children and buried them and outlasted everything and are afraid of exactly nothing. And it worked. Friend, that is the miracle on the record. The goddess who had not eaten in 10 days, who had turned her back on the whole government of heaven, sat on a low stool in a mortal kitchen, while a bawdy old servant worked on her like a locksmith. And something gave. And the Lady Demeter smiled, the first smile of the world's first winter. Friend, and no god managed it. A human being did, with a dirty joke, at exactly the right moment, which is the oldest and most honorable form of courage there is. Then the guest asked for a drink. Friend, and refused the wine, and gave the kitchen a recipe instead. Barley meal, she said, and water, and the soft crushed leaves of mint, stirred together, a working woman's drink. Friend, a harvester's drink for a hot field. They mixed it, and she drank it, the first thing she had taken since the world broke. And I need you to hold this one hardest of all. The drink has a name. The Greeks called it the kykeon. Say it once and keep it. Friend, because you are one of the only people in your whole time zone tonight who knows that recipe matters. And near the end of our night, I am going to show you thousands of people in white, drinking that exact cup in the dark, on purpose, in the holiest night of the ancient world, and refusing, for 2,000 years, to tell anybody why. So the stranger was folded into the house, friend, and given her work. The queen laid her own late-born son in the old woman's arms, a boy named Persephone, the last child of the palace, loved the way the youngest are loved, and told her to raise him, and the child thrived. Friend, thrived past all reason. He grew like something watered from a spring nobody could find, and the household marveled, and put it down to good luck and good milk. Only the knights knew better, because every night, friend, when the fires burned low and the palace slept, the old nurse would rise from beside the cradle with the boy gathered against her, and carry him, quiet as smoke, to the great hearth at the heart of the house, and there she would do a thing that no mortal eye was ever meant to see. One night, friend, a mortal eye saw it. Every house in the old world was built around its hearth, friend, and the hearth was never just heat. It was the heart. Oaths were sworn at it. Newborns were carried around it. Strangers who touched its stones came under the house's protection. The fire in the middle of a Greek house was the house. Friend, the way the well was, the town. So, when I tell you what the old nurse did at the hearth of Eleusis in the dead of night, understand that she chose that spot the way a priest chooses an altar, because that is what it was. Picture the great hall long after midnight. Friend, embers, not flames. The painted pillars going up into the dark. A palace full of sleep, and one figure moving through it without a sound. An old woman with a baby against her shoulder, and the baby is not crying. Friend, the baby never cries with her, and that alone should have told somebody something. She kneels at the hearth. She anoints the boy with ambrosia, the food of the deathless, working it into his skin the way you work oil into leather, and she breathes on him. Friend, the sweet breath of a goddess, holding him against a chest where a heart 3 ages old is beating slow. And then, friend, with the whole house asleep and her face lit from below, she leans forward and lays the living child down in the middle of the fire, into it. Friend, not near it. The hymn is calm and exact. She hid him in the strength of the fire, like a brand. The poem says, like a burning log among the burning logs, and the fire folded over him, and it did not eat him. Now breathe. Friend, because you are hearing this in the dark, and I owe you the truth of it fast. The boy is safe. The boy was always safe. He lies in that fire the way you lie in a warm bath. And he sleeps. Friend, he sleeps in it, and his cheeks glow. And this is the whole point and the whole secret. Fire cannot hurt what has no death in it. Fire only eats the part of a thing that can die. Friend, the dry part, the doomed part. And that is exactly what she is burning, night after night after night. She is holding the boy in the flame and letting it take his mortality off him, layer by layer. The way flame takes the rust off iron, the way the kiln takes the softness out of clay. She is tempering a human child. Friend, she is unteaching his body how to die. And the days told the tale. The boy grew like a god. The poem says, past all nursing, past all explanation. No milk, no bread, and thriving. And the palace called it a wonder, and slept soundly on its wonder. And a few more months of nights. Friend, a few more turns of the fire, and the work would have been finished, and there would have walked among us, forever, a deathless man of Eleusis, ageless in the noon of his youth, while empires rose and fell around him like weather. But before we watch the door open, friend, and it is about to open, come stand close to her for 1 minute, because I want you to see what this is. Look at her face in the ember light, this exhausted goddess in a servant's dress, cradling a mortal woman's son in the middle of a fire at 3 in the morning. What is she doing? Friend, she is doing arithmetic, the oldest, saddest arithmetic there is. 9 days she hunted her own child and came up with a tipped basket. The Lord of the Dead has her daughter, and the Lord of the Sky co-signed the taking. And, against those 2 names, a mother's rage broke like water on rock. She could not protect her own. Friend, she could not get her own back. And so, in the wreckage of all that, her hands found the one thing her hands could still do. Here was a child death had a claim on. Friend, the way death has a claim on every human child. A claim written the day they are born. And she decided, on her own authority, at a stranger's hearth, to tear that page out of the book. Death took a daughter from me. Friend, very well, I will take a son from death, not her son. Friend, a son, any son. This son, warm and real and asleep in her arms. The universe owed her a child, and she was collecting. The Greeks did not explain her. Friend, and I will not either. They just set the scene down. A grieving woman, a borrowed baby, air, fire, and trusted you to feel the whole broken logic of it in your chest. And if you have ever watched someone pour a lost love sideways into something new and fragile, friend, You already understand her better than any footnote could. Now the door, the queen. Friend, Mithaneda, give her this before anything else. She was a mother too, and the strangeness of her house had been gathering on her like static. The boy fat and shining with no food. The nurse who ate nothing and cast, in certain lamplight, a shadow that seemed too tall for her. And, one night, the questions in her outweighed her sleep. Friend. And she rose, and came soft down the corridor to the hall, and looked in, and saw her baby lying in the fire. She screamed. Friend. Of course she screamed. Mothers are not built to see that. No mortal is. And every scrap of context that would have saved her was invisible. The ambrosia, the breath, the tempering, all of it. What she saw was flame around her son, and she shrieked and struck her thighs. The poem says, the old gesture of horror, and the scream did what screams do at rituals. It broke it, and Demeter turned. Friend. And here, the poem gives us something colder than fire. She snatched the boy out of the flames, whole, unhurt, glowing with health, and she set him down. And the hymn says she set him down away from her, on the ground. And the anger in the gesture is 3,000 years old and still perfectly legible. And then she stood up, and she did not bother with the costume anymore. Old age fell off her. Friend. The way a cloak falls when you drop the clasp. The hall filled with a fragrance, like all the fields of the world at once. Light came off her skin. Golden hair poured down across her shoulders. And her head, friend, rose past the lamps, and the beams of the roof made way, and the queen's knees quit under her, and for a long moment she could not even move to pick up her own crying son, because the nurse she had hired at the well was standing in the middle of the great hall like a second hearth, burning without fuel, and the voice that came out of the light was a verdict, ignoran humans. Friend, that is how it opens, and the old poem keeps every word of the sting. Fools, too blind to know your own luck when it lives in your house. I would have made your boy deathless. She tells the shaking queen, ageless forever. I would have set him past the reach of every grave that will ever be dug. Now that is gone. Friend, he will grow, and he will be honored all his days because a goddess held him. But he will die like everyone else, because his mother saw smoke and screamed, hard words, friend, and watch how short the anger's life is. The hymn moves off it in a breath, and I think I know why. Look at what actually stood in front of her. A mortal woman on her knees, half dead with fear, who had thrown herself toward a fire because her child was in it. That was the crime. Friend, love, moving faster than understanding, and of everything in that hall, that was the one thing the goddess had no ability to despise, because it was the exact force that had been driving her own feet for 10 days and nights. She looked at a mother who could not lose a child. Friend, and the sentence died in her mouth, so she gave the house a different future instead. Build me a temple, she said, here, on the hill, above the well, where your daughters were kind to me. A great temple and an altar beneath it, raised by the whole town, and I myself will teach you my rites. Friend, my mysteries, the sacred things done in the dark, so that all the ages after you may perform them and be blessed. Hold that promise with both hands. Friend, it sounds like a footnote tonight. It is the seed of the biggest secret the ancient world ever kept. And before our sky turns grey, I will take you inside it as far as anyone alive can go. The town built it. Friend, stone by stone. The whole population out on the hill. And fast. The way you build for a landlord you have seen burning. And when it was finished, the goddess walked into her new house on the hill of Eleusis. and turned and closed the doors. And then, friend, she sat down, alone in the dark of it, with her grief and her memory and her two cold torches, and she made a decision about the world outside the temple doors. That very week, the farmers of Eleusis went out to do the autumn sowing, the way their fathers had, the way she herself had taught their fathers' fathers at the beginning of bread. They ploughed the good black fields. They dropped the seed and covered it and looked up. Friend, the old farmer's look, half prayer and half weather report, and nothing happened. The end of the world does not arrive with trumpets. Friend, it arrives the way this one did. In rows, straight ploughed rows across 1,000 hillsides, sown on time, watered by the honest rain, and empty. The farmers of that first strange season stood at their fence lines doing what farmers do. Friend, which is wait, and read the ground, and wait, and the ground read back, nothing at all. The seed went down, and it did not die, and it did not live. It just lay there in the cold dark of the furrow like coins dropped into a vault whose combination had been changed in the night. White barley seed under black dirt. Friend, perfectly preserved, perfectly refused. They reploughed. Friend, of course they did. You know these people. You come from these people. Some of you listening tonight are these people. When the crop fails, you blame yourself first, the seed second, the field third, and heaven only at the bitter end. The hymn says oxen dragged the curved ploughs over the same fields, again and again in vain, and much white barley fell into the ground for nothing. They tried the bottomland. They tried the terraces. They sowed the seed corn they were saving. Friend, and then they sowed the seed corn they were not saving, the sacred last of it, the do not touch, and the earth took every kernel with the same smooth silence, and gave back not one green blade anywhere under the whole arching sky, because the lady of the grain was sitting in a closed temple on a hill. Friend, and she had turned the world off. I want you to feel the size of this before we go one step further, because the pictures in your head are probably too small. This was every field. Friend, at once, the wheat lands of Sicily and the barley terraces of the islands and the river plains of far countries that had never heard the name Demeter. All of it. One management, one strike. Grass quit in the pastures. The olive held its fruit. Nothing rotted. Friend, notice that. This was never decay. Decay is at least alive. This was pause. The whole green engine of the earth idling in neutral. Every seed waiting on a word from a goddess who had stopped speaking, and the first winter of the world came down. Friend, and nobody in it even had the word. The hymn calls it the most terrible year, the cruelest. And then it does something I have always loved. It stops describing. No catalogue of horrors. Friend, the poets knew when the plainest ledger is the loudest, and I will keep their restraint. The granaries emptied, in the order, granaries empty. The animals went the way animals go, and humankind. Friend, that first, slow, hungry year, I got a long, unblinking look at a truth it has worked very hard ever since to forget, that the whole towering pyramid of us, kings, armies, boots, priests, every wall and every song, stands balanced on one skin of topsoil and the goodwill of whatever makes it green, but hunger was only half of what was failing. Friend, and the other half is the half nobody expected, and it is where this story stops being a famine and becomes a revolution. Look up, friend, up through the cold, clear air, past the eagles, to the bright halls on the mountain, where the family of heaven is beginning, one immortal at a time. to notice something wrong with the light below. Not the fields. Friend, they never watched the fields. The altars, the smoke had stopped. Understand how the whole economy of heaven worked. Friend, because it is about to be taken hostage. Gods do not eat bread, and gods cannot starve, but gods feed all the same. Friend, and what they feed on rises. It rises off 10,000 altars in 10,000 towns. The smoke of the fat and the roasting meat, the savor of sacrifice, the murmured prayers going up with it like interest payments, morning and evening, forever. That column of smoke and worship was the family's whole income. Friend, it is what being a god of humans pays, and all over the world. That column was guttering out, town by town, for the simplest reason in economics. A man whose children are starving does not burn a bull for heaven. Friend, first, he has no bull to spare, and then he has no bull, and then, friend, and here is the part with teeth in it. He begins to wonder, standing in his dead field, what exactly heaven has done for him lately, and the wondering spreads faster than the hunger. The mountain felt it. Friend, the way a great house feels the furnace quit, a draught under every door. The nectar tasted the same, and the halls were as bright as ever, and beneath everything, growing by the week, there was a new sensation in the marble. Friend, a lightness, a hollowness, and the gods of everything looked around at each other over their cups and slowly understood what it was they were feeling. These deathless ones, for the first time in their endless lives, they were feeling unnecessary. And Zeus looked down from the big chair, friend, and saw the whole board at last. This was no famine. This was a siege, laid by one goddess against the entire government of heaven. And the genius of it, friend, the pure, cold genius, is that she never raised a hand. No war in the sky, no storming the gates. You have watched a night with me before, maybe, and heard how the thunder can flatten a city and never once make a single heart want anything. Here is that same lesson wearing widow's black. Friend, thunder cannot make a seed sprout. Either all the artillery of heaven, the bolts, the earthquakes, the floods, every last weapon in the family arsenal is a weapon of destruction. And destruction was already total. Friend, and it was hers. Zeus could ruin things. Ruin was the status quo. The one power in the universe that could make the world go again was sitting in a small dark temple in Eleusis with her hands folded. And everyone on the mountain knew her price. And her price was standing in the throne room, asking for permission to come home before this all began. So heaven blinked. Friend, and heaven sent a messenger. They sent the best first. Iris, the rainbow, heaven's own herald, who crossed the space between sky and earth like a signature being written. And she stood before the temple at Eleusis, and the doors opened to her. Friend, the goddess inside was never hiding, and Iris delivered the summons of Zeus. Come, the Father calls you back among the deathless. And she wrapped it in every courtesy of the court. And the lady in black listened all the way through, and said, no, friend. And the rainbow went home empty. And then, friend, the hymn gives us one of the great quiet scenes in all the old poetry. The procession. Zeus sent the gods to her one by one. The poem says, all of them, taking turns. And I want you to see it the way Eleusis must have seen it. Week after week, the little hill town with the dead fields, and coming up its one road, glory after glory after glory, gods bearing gifts. Friend, beautiful gifts. The poem says, and honors, whatever privileges she might choose among the immortals. Namit, lady, anything in heaven's treasury. any title, any throne, the whole shining cabinet of the universe. Friend, standing in line outside a grieving mother's door with their arms full of everything except the one thing, and to every single one of them, friend, the same answer, in the same level voice, and the hymn preserves it whole. So, hear it whole. She would never set foot on fragrant Olympus, and she would never let one seed of grain rise out of the ground, until her own eyes looked on the face of her daughter again. No counter-offers, friend, no numbers to negotiate, no committee to refer it to. The gifts went back down the hill in the arms that carried them up, in order, and the fields stayed silent, and the smoke stayed stopped, and on the mountain the king of gods and men sat with the last domino in his hand and nowhere left to put it, because everyone, friend, in heaven and on earth, now knew where this ended. It ended below. It had always ended below. There was one door left in the universe to knock on, and it was the one door heaven had spent eternity pretending was not part of the house, and somebody was going to have to carry the king's message down through it, past the ferryman, past the dog, to the foot of a black throne, and say the unsayable to the eldest brother in his own hall. Give her back. Zeus turned, friend, the way he always turned at the bad moments, looking for someone else to hold the thing, and there, lacing on the winged sandals, already grinning the way he grinned at every locked border in creation, stood the one god in the family with a passport to everywhere. The roads down are dark. Friend, even for gods, his do not have to be lit. Friend, before we take this road, I owe you a word about where we are in the night, because you have earned the truth of the map. This is the underground stretch. From here until a girl sees sunlight again, the whole story runs below the world. Friend, down where her star does not reach, and the rivers have those names I taught you. And so this is the hour I remind you of our arrangement, the one we made in the first minutes. Lying back under the frost, you are allowed to sleep. You are allowed to let go anywhere along this dark road and drift, friend, and miss nothing that will not keep until another night. The seed under the winter field does not need us awake, and neither does she. She has kept this same dark watch every year for 3,000 years, friend, and she has never once needed an audience to find her way back up. But if you are still with me, friend, come, we are going down with a god, and there is no safer company on this road in all the universe. His name is Hermes, and you should know him a little before the dark takes us, because he is the family's one exception to every rule, youngest of the great gods, quickest, the messenger, the god of roads and travelers and locks that open, of merchants and, the Greeks said it themselves with a straight face, of thieves, friend, because the same talent covers both trades. He had winged sandals and a winged cap and no solemnity anywhere on his person, and he owned the one privilege no other god wanted enough to claim. He could go everywhere, sky, sea, earth, and below. Friend, he was the only Olympian who crossed into the land of the dead on business and crossed back out with the mud of it on his sandals, so often that the dead themselves had a title for him. Guide of souls, when you died in the old world. Friend, the last face your soul saw on the road down, the one walking you kindly through the dark to the ferry, that was his, the god of travelers. Friend, seeing every traveler through the one trip nobody misses. So when the summons came down from the big chair, go below and tell my brother to give her back. Hermes did not turn pale. Hermes laced his sandals, and the way down, friend, for him, was not a battle. It was a commute. But for you and me, it is new country. So let us take it slow, and let the light go the way it goes. It goes gradually. Friend, that is the first surprise. No door slams. The road down is long and smooth, and it slopes the whole way. And the daylight behind you does not vanish. It thins, the way the light thins on a December afternoon. Gold, then grey, then the memory of grey. The air goes cool, and then cold, and then perfectly still. A stillness with no weather in it, and no hour. Friend, because hours are a habit of the sun, and the sun has never once been down this road. Somewhere in that long dusk, you cross the first water, and then the plain opens out in front of you, and you see them, the fields of asphodel. Friend, grey meadows rolling away past any horizon under a sky that is not a sky, and standing in those meadows, pale and quiet as standing grain, the dead, all of them. Friend, everyone who ever was, the shepherd kings and the shepherds, grandmothers of grandmothers, whole vanished cities standing loose in the grey flowers, not in torment. Friend, get that out of your mind. The old Greek dead are not screaming. They are only quiet and slow and a little thin, the way a voice is thin over great distance. And when Hermes passes with his living warmth and the road light still on him, they turn. Friend, all those faces, turning together toward the brightness the way the standing grain turns after the sun. Hold that image, friend, and hold it gently. It is the saddest, kindest thing in the whole geography. And it is also, though nobody down here knows it yet, a prophecy. This grey country is about to get a light of its own, past the fields, the Black River, at the ferry. The old boatman took one look at the winged sandals and waved him aboard. No coin. Colleagues, friend, the two civil servants of the same long road, past the river, the gate, and at the gate, the dog, all three heads up at the smell of a living god. And Hermes said something to it. Friend, the poets do not record what. Hermes always said something, and two of the heads went back to sleep, and the third watched him all the way up the road with its ears flat, the way a guard watches a man whose paperwork is perfect and whose grin is not. And then the palace of Hades. Friend, black stone on black stone, taller than the dark around it, and the great doors, and the throne room, and Hermes, the unshockable, the god who had seen every room in the universe, stepped through those doors with the king's message on his lips, and stopped. Friend, because he was looking at two thrones. Nobody had told him. Friend, that is the beautiful, terrible detail. Up, above. The whole family had spent this entire year saying the girl, the daughter, the stolen child, poor Kore, an object in a negotiation, a parcel to be returned. And down here, in the one room in creation where heaven never looks, there were two thrones, side by side, the old black one, and beside it a second, newer, and on the second throne, friend, sat the parcel. Look at her, friend, look the way Hermes looked, which the hymn lets us do. She sits very straight and very still, robed in the colours of this kingdom, and her face is pale now the way the asphodel is pale, and there is no crown mentioned and no crown needed. Friend, because you would no more mistake her rank than you would mistake the queen of a beehive. Around that chair, the stillness of the room organizes itself. Friend, the way iron filings organize around the hidden magnet. Something in this girl has stopped fidgeting forever. She has sat beside the great silence of the world for a full turn of seasons. Listen to it the way you listen to rain on a roof. And somewhere in those months, friend, and no poet anywhere marks the day, she stopped being afraid of it, and now read her eyes. Friend, because they are already fixed on the messenger. And here, the old hymn hands us the exact words, and after 3,000 years they still work. She is filled, the poem says, with longing for her mother, both things. Friend, that is the whole revelation of this room. The thing Hermes saw before one word was spoken. The thing the story has been building toward since the meadow. Both things are true at once, every day of that whole year. This girl has ached for the upper world, for the mother whose grief she could feel through a mile of rock the way you feel weather in an old wound. Not one day of this dark year did she consent to. And, friend, and she has changed anyway. Changed in the marrow. Changed the way a place changes you when you stand all the way inside it. And the throne under her is hers now, fitted to her. Friend, and everyone in that room can see it, including, in some new quiet chamber of herself, the girl, grief, and a throne. Friend, homesickness, and a crown. Do not choose between them. The Greeks never did. Just look at her a long moment, the way the messenger did, and know that her mother is about to look at her too, and see exactly what you are seeing, and feel it go through her like the point of something cold. Then Hermes delivered his message. Friend, all of it in one breath, the way messengers of kings are trained to do. Zeus commands it. The girl comes up. The mother will not relent. The seed will not rise. The race of men will starve to nothing, and the gods will starve of honor after them. The whole system stands or falls on her return. Give her back, and the Lord of the dead, friend, listened all the way through. And the hymn gives us his reaction in 4 words that scholars have been circling for centuries. He smiled. The poem says, he smiled with his brows. Read that smile any way you dare. Friend, the smile of a man hearing an order he cannot refuse and refuses to give the satisfaction of a flinch. The smile of the eldest brother, watching the younger one who signed this very arrangement now send a boy downstairs to unsign it. Or the smile, friend, and this is the reading I keep coming back to in the small hours, of a very patient, very old player laying down a card he has been holding all along. A small card, a red one, no bigger than a fingernail. The poem does not open the smile for us. It just sets it there in the dark, bros up, unreadable, and moves on. And so will we, because what he did next, friend, no one in heaven had scripted, and it is the strangest speech in the whole story. He turned to his wife, friend, and he let her go, gently. The poem is explicit, and the gentleness is the mystery. Go, Persephone, he says, and hear the name he uses. Friend, not Kore, not girl, her true name, her crown name. Go to your mother in her dark blue cloak. Go, and be kind in your heart toward me. He says, listen to it, friend, the most feared being in the universe, asking, and I am no unworthy husband for you. He says, brother of your own father, and while you are here, he says, you are queen of everything that lives and moves, mistress of all this, and whoever wrongs you among the dead, whoever fails your honor, friend, will be repaid forever. It is half surrender and half proposal. Friend, the first courtship in history conducted at the moment of parting. A king telling a departing queen what has been true for a year and never once said aloud, that the crown was real, that the throne was never a cage dressed up, that she rules here. Friend, rules, whether she stays or goes, and she, friend, the hymn says, sprang up for joy. Remember that. It matters. The joy was real. The mother pull was the strongest force in her still. She was on her feet, the year of stillness thrown off in one motion. The meadow girl alive in her again, and already turned toward the door, toward the road, toward up, and it was right then. Friend, in exactly that unguarded golden moment, with the chariot waiting and the whole dark kingdom watching its queen turn toward the light, that the king of the dead did the small, quiet thing, the thing I froze this whole night around once before when it was a flower. He came near her, friend, with something in his hand. Hold, friend, before you look at what is in his hand. I need to teach you a law. It will take 1 minute, and it is the oldest law you have never heard named, and you have obeyed it all your life. Here it is. What you eat in a house makes you family of that house. That is the whole law, friend, and it is older than the gods telling this story. Think about your own table. Why does every deal in America still close over a dinner? Friend, why does every piece, in every family, you know, get made in a kitchen with something baking? Why do we feed the neighbors who come to mourn? Why does the new job start with a lunch? Why is the one unforgivable crime in every old story on earth the harming of a guest who has eaten your bread? Because eating together was the first contract. Friend, older than ink, older than the handshake. Food taken under a roof binds you to that roof. The stomach, friend, is the oldest notary there is, and it has never once unsealed a document. The Greeks built their whole moral universe on that law. If you kept a different watch with me once, you saw the other face of it. A prince who ate a king's bread and stole from his table, and the debt of that broken meal burned the greatest city of the age down to the waterline. That was the law violated by a guest. Friend, tonight you get the mirror of it. Friend, the law wielded by a host. Because down in the dark kingdom, the oldest and most careful and most lawful god in the family knows this statute by heart. Knows it the way a locksmith knows a lock. For a year, mark this, friend, for 1 entire year, his queen has eaten nothing under his roof, not a crumb. Friend, the hymn is silent on how she managed it, and I think the silence means she managed it on purpose. Some instinct in her, some whisper of her mother's craft, kept her mouth closed through a year of royal tables, unfed. She was a guest. Friend, a guest can leave, and she is leaving. Right now, across the throne room floor, joy in her step. The door, standing open. Now look at his hand. In it, friend, small and dark, red and gleaming, is a pomegranate seed. A few of them. Friend, the old accounts count differently, and we will get to the counting. Cupped in the palm of the king, of all the fruits in all the orchards of myth. Friend, understand why it had to be this one. Go look at a pomegranate. This week, in your own grocery store. October is its season. Friend, it is in season right now for exactly the reason I am about to give you. The outside is a rind like leather. Dusky red, a sealed and unpromising little world. But break it open, friend, and inside there are hundreds of seeds packed in white honeycomb, and every seed wears a coat of wet ruby. Juice like concentrated wine, juice that stains your fingers like evidence and will not wash off easy. Friend, and at the center of every ruby, a hard white pip, a seed. Friend, an actual live seed, that buried in soil becomes a tree, blood and seed. Friend, death color, wrapped around life's engine, hundreds deep, in one fist-sized package. The Greeks looked at that fruit and saw both kingdoms at once. The only fruit in the orchard holding dual citizenship. And that is why it grows in this story and no other fruit could. Friend, for the meal that makes a queen of the dead into family of the dead, the menu was never in doubt. Now, friend, the eating. And here I owe you the honesty we run this whole night on, because the old sources do not tell it one way, and I will not pretend they do. There are 3 doors here. Friend, the Greeks kept all 3 open for 1,000 years, and tonight, so will we. The first door is the oldest, and it belongs to the great hymn itself. And the hymn uses one word that changes everything. Secretly, friend, in the joy and turning of that departure, the poem says, the Lord of the dead gave her the honey-sweet seed to eat secretly, slipped it to her, friend, into her hand or onto her lips, small as an afterthought, in the exact moment when happiness had turned all her guards to the door. Read it that way, and the gentleness of his great farewell speech grows a cold edge in the remembering. Friend, because it means both things were happening in the same minute. The mouth was granting freedom while the hand was bolting the door. No rage, no bars, no dungeon. Friend, a seed, placed like a signature where she would swallow it. The quietest abduction in history. Friend, committed at the moment of release. And if it is true, it is the most in-character crime any god ever committed. Persephone, lawful in form, absolute in effect. The second door was opened by later tellers. Friend, and through it the scene looks different. She was hungry. Some said, a year. Friend, or they said, she wandered the shadow orchards of the kingdom in her long homesick restlessness and picked the fruit herself, and ate a few seeds the way you eat standing at the counter, barely noticing. The first thing in that whole grey year to taste of anything, and a few of the latest and quietest voices. Friend, and I only set this down and stepped back from it, wondered whether some part of her, some new part with no name yet, the part that had learned the shape of a throne, was simply not finished with the only country that had ever called her queen instead of girl, whether the hand that lifted the seeds knew, in some chamber below knowing exactly what seeds do. I told you I would not shut these doors, friend, and I will not, but I will tell you what stands behind all of them. Identical, waiting, behind every version. Friend, the seeds go down, 6 of them, in the counting, most remembered, though the old accounts quarrel. Some say 4, one says a single seed would have sufficed, and the quarrel does not matter. Friend, because the law does not count. The law only asks one question. Did you eat in the house of the dead? And the answer now, forever, was yes, and there was a witness. Friend, because there is always a witness. A gardener of the dark orchards, a spirit named Asclepius, saw the queen taste the fruit, and when the hour came, he told, spoke up, friend, the little clerk of the underworld, entering the fact into the record, and for that testimony, the stories say, Demeter in her fury pinned him under a great rock, and later powers turned him into a screech owl, the bird that cries bad news in the dark. Friend, and every culture on earth has been uneasy about that bird ever since. And now you know the resume behind the superstition. Do not waste anger on him. Friend, he only said what was true. It is just that no one, in the entire history of either world, has ever loved the one who says what is true at exactly the wrong moment. So there it is. Friend. 6 seeds. Swallowed. The stomach sealed its document. Somewhere above, a mother was standing at a temple door looking down a road, and the daughter, now rising toward her in a black chariot, was carrying, inside her, 6 small anchors of ruby, and did not know yet what they weighed. And here, friend, before the wheels roll and the dark opens toward morning, let the night hand you its hardest and most beautiful thought, the one this whole chapter was built to hold. Her mother, friend, is the goddess who taught the world that a seed buried in the dark is not lost. That burial, for a seed, is the beginning, the door, and not the wall. Nothing that goes down stays down. Friend, that is her mother's whole gospel, the engine of every harvest since the first one, the promise under every ploughed field in every county you have ever driven through in October. And now watch what the universe has done with the mother's own law. Friend, it has taken the seed and turned it around. These 6 seeds went down into the girl. Friend, the dark went down into her, planted where no torch reaches, and they are going to grow the way seeds grow, on their own calendar, with their own quiet gravity, and their harvest. Friend, every single year, forever, will be a season. They will pull her down each autumn, as surely as her mother's seeds pull green up each spring. Same law. Friend, same seed, same door in the earth, swinging the one way, and now the other, her mother's gospel. Friend, running in reverse, in her mother's own daughter. The chariot is at the gate. Friend, the horses know the road up. They have run it exactly once before, in the other direction, with a screaming girl aboard. This time the passenger sits still and straight beside the driver, queen of everything below, 6 seeds deep in the dark of her, watching the long black road ahead of her turn slowly, slowly, toward the grey, and then toward the gold, somewhere up there. Friend, in the light she is climbing into, a mother is about to come out of a temple at a dead run. She heard it before the world did. Friend, Demeter, in the dark of her closed temple on the hill of Eleusis, in the middle of the dead world she had made, felt something change under the floor. Not a sound yet. Friend, a pressure, the way you feel an elevator coming before the doors know it. The way old farmers say they feel rain in the knee before the sky admits to a cloud. Something was rising through the deep rock of the earth, coming up fast, and every particle of the ground between her and it was passing the news along. Stone to stone to stone, the oldest telegraph there is. And the message, friend, after one entire year of silence, was her. The doors of the temple opened. Her friend, and the goddess came out of them like a thrown torch. The old poem gives us the picture in one line, and it is my favorite line in the whole hymn, and I have carried it around for years. She darted out. It says, like a maenad down a wooded mountainside. Ah, maenad, friend, one of the wild women of the wine god, hair loose, feet bare, past all decorum, past all gravity. Understand who this is being said about. This is Demeter, friend, the lady of the straight furrow, the goddess of the planted row and the patient season, the one power in heaven whose whole character is order, measure, the right thing at the right time in the right line. And here she comes down the hillside of Eleusis like a rock slide. Friend, like a girl, robes hiked, dignity thrown to the dead grass behind her, because far down at the bottom of the hill a black chariot has come up out of a seam in the world, and, standing up in it, before the wheels have even stopped, is a figure that one particular heart in the universe would know at any distance, in any light, in any dark. And her daughter, friend, was out of that chariot and running too. The hymn says she left the chariot like a bird. Friend, and the two of them crossed that dead field at a dead run from opposite ends. The mother and the daughter, the winter and the spring. And I am not going to slow this down with one more word of mine. Friend, because, for exactly one moment, this story that has hurt us all night gets everything it wants. They met. Friend, they collided the way people collide when the arms matter more than the balance. And the mother wrapped her child up whole, and held her head against her, and the field around them was silent, and the sky was silent. And if the universe has ever held a better moment, friend, no poet was standing there to write it down. A long time. Friend, give them a long time. The frost outside your window can wait, and so can the sad half of this chapter, because it is coming. Friend, and here is the terrible thing. The mother knows it is coming even inside the embrace. The hymn tells us straight out, while she was still holding her daughter, while the joy was still at full flood, her heart suspected a snare. That is the exact word. Friend, a snare. Some cold professional corner of her mind had stayed on duty through the whole reunion, and it had been counting the whole time. Counting what? Friend, counting the odds. She knew her brother below. She knew he was the most careful and lawful god alive, and no careful god releases the queen of his kingdom with a wave. Friend, lawful men do not lose. Lawful men comply. Exactly. To the letter. And somewhere in the letter there is always a clause. So she took her daughter's face in her two hands. Friend. And she looked at her. The first good look in a year. And she asked her question. Not, are you hurt? Not, were you afraid? My love. Not even. What was it like down there in the dark? The first question, out of the mother of all food. Friend, before any other word, and the hymn preserves it like a fly in amber. Was this, my child, tell me, you did not eat anything? Down there, did you? Feel that question land. Friend, feel everything that is folded inside it. This is the goddess of the grain, the inventor of bread, the lady of every meal ever eaten. She has known the lore of the eaten food since before humankind had tables. Friend, it is her own department, her own statute book. She has known for one entire year that this question was waiting at the end of it, and she has walked toward it the whole way, praying one syllable, praying no, and she watched her daughter's face. Friend, the way you watch a jury come back in, and her daughter told her, here, friend, listen closely, because the poem does something quiet and devastating. The daughter answers, and she answers with the truth. 6 seeds of a pomegranate. Mother, but listen to how she tells it. Friend, he put it in my hand, secretly. She says, he made me eat it. She says, by force, against my will. The first door, friend, of the 3 doors I showed you in the dark down there. She chooses the first one, the door where all of it was his doing and none of it was hers. And she tells it to her mother, fast and complete. The way you empty out a truth you have been carrying too long, and maybe that is exactly what happened. Friend, the oldest account on earth backs her word for word. Secretly is the hymn's own testimony, and no honest teller can rank the versions above it. But I told you when we stood at those 3 doors that I would leave them all open. Friend, and a promise is a promise. So I will only say this, softly, and move on. She is telling this to a mother who stopped the world for her. Friend, who starved heaven itself to the table for her. What daughter alive? Friend, standing in the wreckage of a rescue that big, in arms that fierce, would reach for door number 2. I leave it there. Friend, the Greeks left it there. Some silences are load-bearing, and this one has held for 3,000 years, and it can hold up you and me tonight. What mattered? Friend, what stood in the field with them like a third figure was the arithmetic. 6 seeds. The document was sealed, and both of them were fluent in the law, and neither of them wasted breath pretending otherwise. The mother had won her war. Friend, won it flat, brought the whole government of heaven to its knees with folded hands, and in the very hour of the victory, opened it and found the clause. So heaven came to close the deal. Friend, and look who they sent, because the choice is the tenderest piece of statecraft in the whole story. Not Hermes this time. No herald, no rainbow. Zeus sent Rhea, friend, his own mother, the grandmother of everyone in the case. And stop on that a moment. Friend, count her children. Zeus, who signed it, is her son. Demeter, who broke the world over it, is her daughter. Arthis, holding the clause at the bottom of it, her firstborn son, the first child she ever lost into the dark of a swallowing. Friend, and the last one to come back out. Every principal party in this whole catastrophe, friend, came out of this one mother, and heaven, in its shrewdness, understood that the treaty of the 2 worlds could be carried by no one else. It takes a mother, friend, to referee an argument about losing children. She was the only being in existence withstanding on every side of it, and the terms Rhea brought down, friend, were the terms the seeds had already written. 1/3 of every year, 1 month for every pair of seeds in the old counting. Though I will tell you plainly, the ancient accountants quarrel over the split. Some say half and half. Some say 4 months. And the earth, friend, has never once consulted the accountants. 1/3 of the year below, in the dark, at his side, on her throne. 2/3 above, in the light, at her mother's side, in the green. Every year, friend, forever, down in the fall, up in the spring, the door in the earth swinging one way, then the other, on the calendar of 6 small seeds, and Demeter, friend, took the terms, and then, standing in that grey, dead field with her daughter's hand in hers, she turned the world back on, slowly. Friend, I want this exactly right, because the temptation of every teller is the trumpet blast, the instant garden, and the old story is wiser and quieter than that. What came first was not green. Friend, what came first was softness. The ground, iron, for a year, gave under the heel again, just slightly, the way frozen ground gives in late March. You know that feeling in your own yard. Friend, that first forgiving inch. Then came the smell. Friend, that smell, rain on dry dust, the oldest perfume there is, rolling slow across the countryside like a rumor. And then, not everywhere at once, but here, and there, in the roots, in the field edges, along the warm sides of the stone walls, the green came back, friend, thin as thread at first, and the hymn says the whole wide earth grew heavy with leaves and flowers, but it grew heavy the way a tide comes in. Friend, passion, unstoppable, one field at a time. And the first field it filled, friend, the very first in all the world, was the plain of Eleusis, below the hill, under the temple, where 4 girls had once stopped at a well to be kind to an old woman nobody else could see. The first springtime. Friend, the world had never needed one before, because the world had never lost anything before. Every spring since. Friend, every single one, including the one sleeping under your frosted lawn right now, is a copy of that first one. A reunion, re-performed. A promise kept another year. And now, the last picture of this chapter. Friend, and I will give it to you the way the night gave it to me, and then let you rest on it, the 2 of them walking. Friend, mother and daughter, hand in hand, across a field that is greening around their footsteps, the whole world exhaling, everything one, everything restored, and the mother, walking, looks over at her girl. Friend, the same face, the same hand in hers, warmer now, everything as it was, and the walk is different, that is all. Friend, just the walk. The girl who was taken used to move like weather, all hurry and light, half running everywhere, because everywhere was worth half running too. The woman beside her now walks evenly. Friend, unhurried, with a stillness folded into her stride, and she looks at the horizon a beat longer than she used to, and she is not sad. Friend, hear me. She is not sad. She is deep. There are rooms in her now. Friend, and some of the rooms are dark, and she is not afraid of them. And her mother, walking beside her through the victory, holding the hand, she moved heaven and earth, and the space below both, to hold again. You can feel it in the palm of her hand. Friend, the change, the depth, the 6 seeds of distance that no treaty on earth can negotiate away. She got her daughter back. Friend, all the way back. 12/12ths of her. Hold that question the way the mother holds that hand. Do not answer it. She never did either. Friend, she just held on for her 8 months. Every year. Forever. And watch the calendar the way you are watching your window. And that, friend, that right there is where winter comes from. Not from the seeds, from the watching. I made you a promise. Friend, in the very first minutes of this night, while your house was still warm and the frost was still out over the neighbor's field, I told you about a hand reaching for a flower, and I said that same hand would come to rest on the arm of a black throne, and that the greatest men of the age would stand in front of it shaking. Every promise I make you gets paid. Friend, that is the deal of these nights. Payday. Come down with me one more time. She is on the throne. Friend, and there are visitors. But first, stand here at the edge of the great hall with me, behind this pillar of black stone, and let me show you what a year of turnings has built, because the girl from the meadow now runs the strangest court in creation, and you can read her whole rank in the smallest details of how the 2 worlds talk about her. Friend, the way you can read a general's rank from how the room stands when he enters, start with the oaths. Friend, when a Greek up in the sunlight needed to swear the kind of oath that had teeth in it, the kind you did not walk back, he did not always swear by the king of the dead. He swore by her. Friend, by the dread queen below. Her name in an oath was the padlock on it, because everybody understood the filing system. Friend, break a vow sworn on her name, and the complaint department you would eventually answer to was hers. And eventually, friend, comes for everyone, and it goes darker and stranger than that. Friend, and here I am handing you a true thing. Spadework, true. Museum case, true. For centuries, people in the old world wrote out their grievances on small, thin sheets of lead. Curse tablets. Friend, The archaeologists have pulled thousands of them out of the ground, out of graves and wells and sanctuary floors, from Sicily to Britain, little grey leaves of metal, folded, sometimes nailed, scratched in cramped letters with the angriest prayers human beings have ever committed to writing. Judgments call down on the thief who took my cloak, the rival who took my case, the liar who took my love, mail for the underworld, friend, actual dead letters, buried to be delivered, and when scholars read the addresses, friend, read which mighty name below was being petitioned to execute the judgment. The name that appears again and again and again is not his, it is hers. Friend, Persephone, the Lord of the Dead, owns that kingdom, the way a man owns a courthouse. Friend, walls and title. But the desperate mail of 2 continents tells you plainly who the ancient world believed was sitting at the bench inside, reading the petitions, deciding the cases. He holds the deed. Friend, she holds the gavel. Now, friend, the visitors, because rank untested is just etiquette. And this queen got tested twice, and the 2 tests, back to back, will teach you her whole reign. The first test came walking in on 2 living legs. Friend, twice over, and it is one of the most jaw-dropping stories the Greeks ever told, and they told it with a straight face, and so will I. There were 2 heroes, sworn friends, Theseus of Athens, the king who had killed the bull-headed monster in the maze, the most famous living man in Greece, friend, and his wild companion, Persephone, king of the Lapiths. And these 2, in the pride of their fame, swore a pact, friend, an oath between friends, that each would help the other win a daughter of Zeus for a bride. Nothing less would do. Friend, daughters of the thunder, king or nothing. Theseus chose first, and shows scandal, and that is another night's story. But Persephone, friend, Persephone looked over every daughter of Zeus in the wide world, every princess and every goddess, and the bride he settled on, the one he announced, was Persephone. Say it plainly so the full madness of it lands. Friend, a mortal man decided to walk down into the land of the dead, into the sealed kingdom, past the ferryman and the dog, and steal the queen of the underworld out of her own house, out from beside her own husband, and carry her up to be his wife, and listen to the shape of that plan. Friend, because you have heard it before, a powerful male, deciding he was owed a bride, resolving to simply take her, no asking, no wooing. The plan built entirely out of grabbing. It is the meadow. Friend, it is her own abduction, drawn up a second time, aimed at her a second time, by a smaller and stupider hand. The universe was sending the queen of the dead, the one visitor she was uniquely qualified to receive. Friend, a man planning to do to her exactly what had been done to her. Down they came. Friend, the 2 friends, swaggering the whole way, down the long road, over the river, past the dog, through gates that, remember, friend, never stop anyone from entering. The house of the dead has the easiest front door in the universe. And they walked into the great hall, and there sat the king, and there beside him sat the queen, very straight, very still, and the 2 heroes announced their business. Friend actually announced it, demanded her, in her own throne room, to her face, and nothing happened. Friend, no thunder, no monsters called. That is not how this house works. Friend, and here is where you learn how this house works. The Lord of the Dead heard them out with that patience of his that is older than mountains. And then courteous as a good innkeeper. He offered the two travelers a seat. "Rest," he said. "Friend, sit. You have come a long way." And there were two chairs of stone, right there, waiting, and the two heroes, rode weary and pleased with how well this was going, sat down, and the stone took them. The old tellers describe it differently. Friend, and every version is worse than the last. Some say the rock grew into their flesh, slow as sediment, and held them. Some say serpents came and bound them where they sat. And some, friend, give the best and coldest version of all. They say those seats were the chairs of forgetfulness, and that the two heroes simply forgot their errand, forgot their names, forgot that they had ever meant to stand up, and sat, friend, blank as the dead around them, two of the mightiest men of the age, welded into furniture by a kingdom that never even raised its voice. Years, friend, they sat years, until the biggest hero of them all, Heracles himself, came down on his own errand and found them there, and took Theseus by the hand and tore him loose. And the stories say the stone kept its toll. Friend, kept a piece of him. And Athenians joked darkly ever after about why their great king walked spare in the hindquarters. But when Heracles reached for Persephone, friend, for the one who had pointed at the queen, the ground itself shuddered. No, and Heracles, who feared nothing in creation, looked at that shudder and understood it. Friend, and let go. Persephone sits there still. Friend, as far as the old world ever heard. The man who came to take the queen of the dead is the one guest of that kingdom who never even got to die first. That is the iron in her. Friend, now, before the fire, in her, one more visitor. A quick one, because this one caught the queen young. Friend, new on the throne, and it is the only time on record anyone ever got past her. And the Greeks loved her enough to keep the story. His name was Sisyphus. Friend, king of Corinth, the single most ingenious liar who ever drew breath. A man who had already cheated death once, actually wrestled death into a closet. Friend, that is its own night, when his time finally, properly came. Sisyphus played the long game. He instructed his wife, secretly, to leave his body unburied. No coin, no rites, nothing. And then he died, friend, and went below, and got himself an audience with the new young queen, and stood before her throne, the picture of injured dignity, and lodged, friend, a complaint, majesty. He said, look at how I arrive, unburied, unwept, no coin under my tongue, no honors, flung out like kitchen scraps, and my own wife did it. Friend, the disrespect of it, to me, and worse, majesty, to the sacred customs of your kingdom, and then the master stroke. Friend, the pitch, send me back up. He said, 3 days. Majesty, 3 days to punish that impious woman and see my own funeral done right, done properly, done in your honor, and I return directly to your service. And the queen, friend, said yes, understand why, and love her for it. Friend, do not laugh at her. She was the newest royalty in the universe, and the only soul in that whole grey country who knew from the inside what it is to be down there against the paperwork. And here stood a shade, pleading the sanctity of the rights, the rules, the law, and she was, above all things, now a keeper of law, and also, friend, quietly, underneath everything, she was the one being in the dark who knew what up was worth, Of course she signed the pass. Friend. Mercy plus law plus memory. It was the most in-character mistake she ever made. Sisyphus. Friend. Hit the sunlight laughing, and did not come back in 3 days, and had never for one heartbeat intended to. Lived. Friend. Lived years on stolen time. Decades in some tellings. The man who conned the queen of the dead, until heaven itself lost patience and had him marched back down under escort. And this time there was no audience. Friend. And no complaint form. And the kingdom that never raises its voice assigned him a boulder and a hill. And you know the rest. Friend. Your whole country uses his name to this day for any job that undoes itself. Every commuter, in every traffic jam in America, is muttering his story without knowing it. That is what the House of the Quiet Ones does with repeat offenders. Friend, it does not torture you with fire. It gives you a task. Friend, and eternity to be wrong about finishing it. And the Queen. Friend, she was conned exactly once, in her first season on the throne, by the best who ever lived at it. Search every scroll of the old world. Friend, and you will not find a second time. The meadow girl learned the way queens learn. Fast. Once. Forever. So there she sits. Friend, iron enough to weld heroes into stone. Sharp enough, after one lesson, to never be fooled again. Feared enough that the angriest male of 2 continents carries her name on the envelope. The gates below had never held anything but law. Friend. Cold. Perfect. Unbendable law. And now the law had a queen, and the 2 worlds settled into their new arrangement. And it might have gone on, like that, forever. Friend. Iron and silence. Silence and iron, except that one day, friend, down the long dark road that only the dead and one messenger god had ever walked, there came a sound that kingdom had never heard before. Somebody, friend, somebody alive, was coming down the road, playing music. Every country has one border sound. Friend, one noise that tells you exactly where you are. The gulls tell you the coast. The cicadas tell you the summer south. And the kingdom below had its sound, too. Friend, the oldest and simplest one there is. And it was silence. Total. Mineral. Wall-to-wall silence. A silence with the weight of all that rock behind it. Unbroken. Since the lottery divided the worlds, the dead do not sing. Friend, the rivers down there run without a ripple worth the name. In the whole history of that enormous nation, no ear in it had ever once heard music. So when the first notes came down the long road, friend, the whole kingdom turned like one head. The man walking down into the dark with a lyre in his hands was named Orpheus. And while he walks, friend, let me tell you what he was, because you need the scale of it. The Greeks said, flatly, that he was the greatest musician who ever lived or ever would. And then, because that was not enough, they told you what the music did. When Orpheus played, friend, the rivers slowed to listen and lost their place in their own current. Trees pulled at their roots and leaned. Stones, friend, actual stones, rolled themselves closer across the ground and settled around him in a circle like children at story time. The music did not entertain the world. Friend, it suspended the world's rules, and everything that heard it wanted. For the length of the song, nothing but to keep hearing it. And this man, friend, this walking exception to the laws of nature, had exactly one thing in his life he loved more than the music, and her name was Eurydice, and they were newly married. Friend, still in the season where the wedding flowers had not finished drying, and on a bright, ordinary day. Friend. She was walking with her bridesmaids through a meadow of long grass, and something was waiting in the grass. Hold it. Friend, stand still with me one beat, because the night is rhyming, and I want you to hear it. A young bride, a green meadow, long grass, a bright morning, and down in the grass, unseen, a thing with a claim on her. You stood in this exact geometry in the first minutes of tonight. Friend, there it was, a flower with a kingdom under it. Here it was, a snake. Friend, a simple brown viper doing what vipers do. And it struck her heel as she passed. And by evening, the girl was gone, down the one road everybody goes. And the flowers from her wedding, friend, had lasted longer than the marriage. Grief takes people different ways. Friend, you know that. You have seen the ways. Some sit down and go quiet. Some rage. Orpheus. Friend, the only man alive whose gift outranked the rule book, did the one thing no grieving person in history had ever had the toolkit to try. He decided to go get her back. He walked to the cave mouth the old world knew as an entrance. Friend, at Tainarum in the far south. And he did not bring a sword. And he did not bring a bribe. And he did not bring a plan. Friend, not really. He brought the lyre, and he went down the long road alive, playing, and the border of the two worlds. Friend, which is not a wall, but a series of refusals, began, one refusal at a time. To say, yes, the ferryman poled his empty boat to the near bank. Friend, and took aboard a passenger with no coin and a heartbeat, which he had never once done, and could not afterwards say why. The dog, friend, the three-headed law of the gate, the animal whose whole existence is a growl aimed at exactly this. Lay down. The old accounts say all three heads sank to the ground together. Ears soft, eyes half shut, 3 sets of them, and the living man walked past that dog, close enough to touch it, playing, and the dog dreamed. Friend, whatever dogs of the dead dream, and let him, and the music went ahead of him into the grey fields. Friend, out over the asphodel, and the dead came drifting to the road to hear it, the way the living crowd, a passing parade. All those quiet generations. Friend, standing in the pale flowers with their faces turned, and the poets say that for the first and only time, the shadows wept. The stories get specific here. Friend, and their specifics are the whole point. Out on his slope, Sisyphus, our con man of the boulder, stopped pushing, friend, and the boulder, mark this, did not roll back down. Even the boulder was listening. The whole penal code of eternity, friend, stood in recess for one song, and the song walked on through the middle of it, to the palace, through the doors, into the great hall of black stone, and there, friend, at the foot of the 2 thrones we know, in front of the king who never bends, and the queen who was fooled exactly once, the living man stopped playing, and changed chords, and made his case, and the case, friend, was a song, and the old poets wrote down its argument, and it is the finest piece of lawyering in either world. So hear it the way the 2 thrones heard it. He did not sing that death was unfair. Friend, look how smart that is. You do not stand in the supreme court of death and argue against death. Friend, he conceded everything first. All of us come here. He sung, she will come back to you. Friend, that was the spine of it. We are, all of us, already yours. Every road ends at this hall. You hold the mortgage on every heartbeat upstairs, and you have never once been stiffed. I am not asking you to tear up the debt. Friend, I am asking for a loan. Give her the years she was owed. And, at the end of them, take us both. 2 souls for your one. The house loses nothing. The house always wins. And then, friend, the last verse. And the old telling aims it like a slow arrow. And I want you to watch it fly past the king and strike the second throne. If there is any truth in the old stories, he sang, then love has been down this road before me. You too, he sang, of all the powers in all the worlds. You too were joined by love himself, by a wanting that came up out of the dark and would not be told no. If those songs lie, friend, then strike me silent. But if they are true, then the two of you, alone in the universe, already know exactly what is standing in front of you, and exactly what it costs him to stand here. Silence, friend, the great mineral silence of that hall, flowing back in behind the last note, like water behind a ship. And on the second throne, friend, something happened that had never happened in the history of the kingdom. And the Roman poet, who tells it best, gives it just this way. The cheeks of the Queen of the Dead, friend, were wet now. Friend, come stand close, here at the end of the song, because this is the very center of tonight. The reason this chapter lives, where it lives. Every ear in that hall heard the same music, but hear what she heard. Friend, this particular queen, on this particular throne, because she is the only being in 2 worlds for whom that song was not a story. A girl, friend, taken, young, out of a green meadow, down into this dark, with the flowers still in her hand. A love up in the sunlight that would not accept the taking, that shut down its whole world, that came after her, against all law, against all sense, all the way down. Somebody standing in this very hall, friend, pleading across the border for a stolen girl to be given back. That is not a ballad to her. Friend, that is her case file. That is her own biography. Friend, sung back to her in a stranger's voice by a man who has no idea what throne he is aiming at. And the wet on her face is not sentiment. Friend, it is recognition. She was Eurydice. Friend, taken from the grass, and her mother. Friend, her mother, with the 2 torches, and the 9 days, and the world held hostage. Her mother was Orpheus, the love that came down after. The 2 halves of her own story stood in front of her, fused into one desperate singing man. And the Queen of the Dead looked at him. Friend, and every version of her looked at him at once. The meadow girl, the stolen bride, the daughter, the sovereign, and in several of the old tellings, friend. And they are the ones, I believe. It is not the king who answers, it is her. Friend, she turns to her husband, the queen, who almost never spends a word, and she asks for this one, and the king of the dead, who refuses everything. Friend, who has refused the whole universe since the lottery, looked at his queen's wet face, and did not refuse her. One condition. Friend, there is always one condition. The house never waives the whole rule. She may follow you up. They told him. She will walk behind you, on the long road, all the way to the light. And you, friend, you will not look back at her. Not one glance. Not at the gate. Not on the road. Not at the very lip of the world. Look back before you both stand in the sun. And she returns here. And the door is shut. And it does not open twice. He said yes. Friend. Of course he said yes. It is the easiest promise in the world. On the way up, So they climbed. Friend, and I will climb it with you, slow, because the old world never told this part fast. The road up from the dead is long, friend, and it is dark the whole way, and it was made for one direction and resents the other. He walked in front with the lyre quiet in his hand, and behind him, friend, came Eurydice. And here is the mechanism of the tragedy. The little engineering fact, the whole thing turns on. The dead, friend, walk without a sound. No footfall, no breath. Friend, no rustle of a dress. Nothing. She was 3 steps behind him the entire way, and the road gave him no proof of her. Friend, none. Not one pebble clicking. And nobody had thought to warn him about the silence. And the silence, friend, mile after black mile, went to work on him the way silence works on all of us at 3 in the morning. Is she there? She is there. They said she would be there. Would they lie? It was her wet-eyed queen who granted it. Surely the queen would not mock him. But is she there? Friend, what if the whole grant was a joke of the dark? What if he walks out into the sun alone, having serenaded stones for nothing, and ahead of him, friend, the black began to turn grey, the mouth of the world. Friend, up ahead, a coin of pale light, getting larger, the smell of green things reaching down to meet him. 10 steps, 5, and the poets say his foot was on the threshold. Friend, the very sill of the living world, daylight actually on his face. And love, friend, at the finish line. Love did the thing it has done in every story I have ever told you, on any night we have ever kept together. Love does not poll the crowd. Friend, love does not wait for the paperwork to clear. He turned around, and she was there. Friend, that is the cruelest mercy in the whole old canon. She was right there. 3 steps back. She had been there every step of every mile, and she was still in the shadow of the road when his eyes found her. 1 pace short of the sun, and the law took hold. The old poet says she was already falling backward as their eyes met, back into the dark, like a swimmer taken by a current, and she did not scream at him. Friend, hold this. Of everything tonight, hold this. The last thing Eurydice did in either world was stretch her arms toward her husband, and the only word, she said, friend, the one word the falling gave her time for, was farewell, and the dark folded over. Friend, and the road was empty, and a man stood alone in the first sunlight with his own shadow for company. He tried to go back down. Friend, you know, he tried. He stood at the Black River for 7 days. No food, no sleep, playing. And this time, friend, the ferryman looked away, and the far bank stayed far. The door does not open twice. They told him that. Friend, in the hall, in plain words, the house always keeps one rule. Do not ask me why. He turned. Friend, I have heard a lifetime of answers. He doubted. He loved too much. He was a fool. And all the answers are true, and none of them matter. Because you would have turned. Friend, and so would I. And every honest soul who has ever heard this story knows it in the pit of the stomach. And that is precisely why the story will not die. It is 3,000 years old, and it is playing 8 shows a week right now. Friend, tonight, in a theater in Midtown Manhattan, a whole Broadway house full of Americans who already know the ending. Friend, every single one of them praying in the dark that this time the boy keeps his eyes forward. And every night, friend, every single night, he turns up in the hall of black stone. Friend, When the news came back down the road, the king said nothing, because the law had simply done what law does. And the queen, friend, the old poets leave her silent too, and I have always thought their silence was the honest kind, the kind that knows some rooms you do not follow a person into. But I will tell you the one thing we know for certain she understood. Friend, better than any being in either world, better than the king beside her, better than the poets themselves. She knew what it was, friend, to be the girl in the dark, 3 steps behind, a light you cannot call out to. The difference, friend, the whole difference, is that her road up had a treaty at the end of it, and every spring, friend, hers still does. If you have kept another one of these nights with me, friend, under a brighter and stranger star, then partway through this chapter you are going to sit up under your blanket, because you have met this boy before. I told you his beginning that night, and I told you his ending, and I did not tell you the middle, friend, and I was not holding out on you. The middle was never that goddess's story to keep. The middle belongs to our queen, friend. So here it is at last, the missing chapter, the custody case of the ancient world, for the friends just joining us. Friend, the short version of a sad beginning. There was once a boy born out of a broken story. Out of a princess, the gods had turned into a tree, a myrrh tree, the kind that weeps sweet resin, and the old world swore those slow amber drops were her tears, still falling, and out of the split bark of that weeping tree, friend, came a baby, and the baby was called Adonis, and he grew into the most beautiful mortal who ever drew breath. Not handsome, friend, past handsome, out where the word quits working, so beautiful that goddesses, plural, would come to blows over the scheduling of him. And that is not a figure of speech. Friend, that is the docket of this chapter. Now, friend, the first goddess found him early. Aphrodite herself, the lady of the doves, the foam-born power of desire, came across this child while he was still small, and she saw what he was going to become, the way a jeweler sees the finished stone inside the rough. And she did a thing that tells you everything about how that family thinks. She decided to put him somewhere safe until he was grown. Friend, somewhere no rival's eye would find him. Somewhere nothing could touch him. The most secure address in all creation. So she laid the baby in a chest, friend, and closed the lid. And she carried that chest down, friend, all the way down, past the ferryman who owed her nothing and let her pass anyway, because everything in creation lets her pass, down to the palace of black stone, and she put the chest into the hands of the queen of the dead, one goddess to another, and she said, "Keep this for me. Do not open it. Friend, just keep it safe until I come back for it. Think about the choice. Friend, and give the foam born her due. It was brilliant. Who robs the underworld? Friend, what moth gets in? What rust? What rival? Death's house is the one vault in the universe with a perfect record, but she had made one miscalculation. Friend, the oldest one in the book, the same one every clever plan in these stories makes. She had counted the locks, friend, and forgotten the locksmith. She had handed a sealed treasure to a queen, friend, and told her not to look. And if there is one thing this whole night has taught you about this family, it is what happens next to sealed things and instructions. The queen opened the chest. Friend, of course she opened the chest. A living child. Friend, warm, unfinished, growing by the hour, the way they do, right there, in front of her. the most alive thing in the history of that kingdom, blinking up out of the dark of the chest at the pale queen. And, friend, the babies of that age had no fear in them yet, and I will let you guess what a baby does, looking up at a face, any face, that leans over its cradle. The stories do not give us the years that followed, friend, and they do not need to. They give us the ending, which contains them, when the appointed season came and the foam-born goddess swept back down to collect her treasure. Friend, the chest was long empty, and the boy was half-grown, and running the grey halls like they were a meadow, and the queen of the dead stood between him and the door. Friend, and said the word that nobody in the universe says to Aphrodite. She said no. Friend, mine now. You can hear the argument from here. Friend, 3,000 years off, echoing down the vaults. I bore him to safety, says the one. He exists because I hid him. You abandoned him in a box, says the other. In my house, and in my house he was raised. And raising is the deed that counts. Two of the most absolute powers in creation. Friend, desire itself and death itself, deadlocked over one mortal boy, and neither one bred to lose. And the case went up, friend, all the way up, the way every impossible case in this family goes up, to the big chair and the tired king who sits in it, and Zeus. Friend, looked down at the docket and saw what you and I see. Say the shape of it out loud. Friend, slowly, and feel the night rhyme one more time. A beloved young person, claimed by the world above and the world below at once. Two mighty households, each with a grip, neither letting go, and the whole matter laid on the desk of the king of the gods to split. He had ruled on this exact case before. Friend, you listened to him rule on it 4 chapters ago, in a grey field, with a mother and 6 seeds in evidence. And the king of gods and men is many things. Friend, but he never wastes a working precedent. He divided the boy like a year. Friend, 1/3 of every year. Adonis would live below, in the quiet halls, with the queen who raised him. 1/3 he would live above, in the light, with the goddess of love. And the final third, friend, was ruled to be the boy's own, his free months, to spend wherever his own heart pointed, and the heart of a young man being the instrument it is. Friend, he pointed it at sunlight and at Aphrodite, and the split ran 2/3 gold and 1/3 grey, and that was the piece of it, and both goddesses signed. And there, friend, if the world were kind, we could leave them. You know from the other night that the world was not kind. Friend, there was a boar on a bright morning, and there was blood in the anemones, and the beautiful boy went down the long road one final time. Friend, and this time no treaty meted his stay, and the flower that carries his memory blooms shortest of all the flowers of spring. If you kept that other watch with me, you wept for him already, and the goddess of love has a rose with his colour on it forever. I will not make you grieve him twice. Friend, tonight I only came for the middle of his story, and for what the middle shows, so stand back from it with me. Friend, and look at what she did, our queen, because this chapter is the strangest mirror in her whole gallery, and I hung it here on purpose. Second to last, a young life. Friend, carried down into the dark, against nobody's asking. Hers, least of all, a power from the world above, descending, demanding the return, a king splitting the difference, a calendar carved into thirds, a soul commuting forever between the light and the dark. It is her own case. Friend, article for article, her own treaty photocopied. And look, Frelagon, look at which chair she is sitting in, this time. Not the meadow, the bench. The girl who was the disputed property has become a disputing power. Friend, the stolen child grew up to hold a child the sky came down to reclaim, and she did not hand him over meekly. Friend, she litigated, and she won her third. And the Greeks set this story down without one word of judgment on her. And I will keep their custom, but I will tell you what they were showing you. Friend, because they were always showing you something. Live long enough inside any kingdom. Friend, and the kingdom moves in. Its laws become your reflexes. Its walls become your spine. She went down a captive of that house. Friend, and somewhere across the long thirds of the years, without one day you could circle on a calendar, its rules became her rules. Its property became her property. Its patience, friend, became her patience. That is not corruption. Friend, hear me. The Greeks never called it that. That is just what belonging costs. The title of our whole night says she belonged to two worlds. Friend, and tonight you learn the full weight of the word. Belonging runs both directions. Friend, the world you belong to, belongs to you back, and it will send you to the bar to argue its claims. Friend, even when its claim is a warm boy in a box, and the plaintiff is desire itself, one more small thing. Friend, before this chapter lets you drift, a growing thing, because this family always leaves its receipts in the garden. The kingdom below has its own flora. Friend, did you know that? Sparse, but real. The asphodel you have walked through twice tonight. The black poplars by the dark water, and one more. Friend, a small one, down low along the borders, and there is a story on it. They say there was once a river spirit named Minth, friend, who had been close to the Lord of the Dead in the long empty ages before his queen came, and who talked, friend, talked proud and careless about her old standing in that house, and the queen heard of it. Friend, or in some tellings her mother did. The family resemblance is the joke inside the story. And one royal heel came down. Friend, and where Mintha had stood there was suddenly a low creeping herb, hugging the ground, done forever with standing tall. And the herb, friend, ish mint, the actual mint. Friend, the one in your garden bed, the one in your iced tea, the one in the gum in the checkout line. And here is the last turn of the little tale. Friend, the reason the Greeks smiled when they told it. Crush mint, friend, and it does not sulk. The more you step on it, the sweeter the whole yard smells. The punished thing answers every insult with fragrance. Friend, forever, which is either the best revenge in botany or the worst. And the old world never decided which. Next summer, friend, when you tear a mint leaf over a cold glass on some hot American porch, take 1 second and salute it. You are holding a royal sentence of the House of the Dead. Friend, handed down by a queen, or by her mother, in a kingdom where they do not hurl thunderbolts. In that family, friend, when a woman is finished with you, she does not strike you down. She plants you. Do you remember the well, friend? Hours ago now. A stone well at the edge of a little hill town. An olive tree. An old woman in the dust that a whole town walked past. And 4 girls with bronze jars who stopped. I told you then to remember the name of that town, friend, and I told you it was going to become the holiest address in the ancient world. And every promise on these nights gets paid. So climb the hill with me one last time. The story of the mother and the daughter is told now. The treaty is signed. The seasons are running. What I have left to show you at Eleusis, friend, is what happened after, and it is the part historians still lower their voices about, because it is the greatest secret human beings ever kept. The temple got built. Friend, you watched the order given. But before the goddess left that hill to take her daughter home, the old hymn says she did one more thing. She called in the kings of Eleusis, the household of the well, and she taught them, friend, taught them her rites, the awful mysteries. The poem calls them awful in the oldest sense, full of awe, and then the hymn adds one line of iron, rites that no one may transgress, or learn of, or speak aloud. For a great reverence of the gods stops the voice. Friend, hold that phrase, because here is what grew from that hill, and every bit of what I tell you next is not myth. Friend, it is history, dug up and documented and dated for nearly 2,000 years, from deep in the age of bronze to the last tired centuries of Rome. The town of Eleusis ran the most famous religious event in the Mediterranean world. Every autumn, friend, every single autumn, right at the season when the frost is walking across your lawn tonight, at the exact turn of the year when the daughter goes below, and who could come? Friend, here is the first wonder, because the ancient world was a locked and sorted place. Citizens here, slaves there, men in this room, women nowhere at all. Eleusis threw the doors open, men and women, friend, both, free and enslaved, both. Kings came, and so did potters, and the enslaved man walked the same road as the emperor, because in the eyes of these particular rites, every single walker was headed for the same country in the end, and that country does not check papers. 2 conditions only. Friend, you had to understand Greek, so you could follow what was said, and your hands had to be clean of blood. That was the whole gate. It was the most democratic sacred thing in the ancient world. Friend, and it was run in honor of a mother who was once helped at a well by girls who did not check who she was first. Now watch the autumn come, friend, and watch what they did, because they did it in her footsteps, step for step, and you know the steps. You walked them with her. The initiates gathered in Athens, thousands of them in a season, and they fasted, friend, as she fasted, 9 days with nothing. They went hungry in her honor, carrying their hunger like a candle, and then, on the appointed evening, they set out walking, friend, the whole enormous crowd of them, out the sacred gate of Athens and along the old road to Eleusis, and the distance of that road is 14 miles, and they walked it into the falling dark, and, as night came down over the marching thousands, friend, they lit torches, see it from the hills the way the shepherds saw it, friend, 14 miles of night road, and moving along it, a river of fire, thousands of torches streaming west in the dark, one great procession of flame pouring slowly toward the sea. Every autumn, for 2,000 years, it is the mother's search, friend, performed by the human race. She hunted with 2 torches, alone. They multiplied her grief into a festival of light and walked it together, every year, so that once a year, forever, she would not be searching alone, of everything the old world built. Friend, I think that river of torches is the thing I would most want to stand and watch. At the end of the road, in the town, they broke their fast, friend, and they broke it with one particular drink, barley meal, water, Soft, crushed mint. Stirred. The kykeon. Friend. The exact cup you watched a grieving, disguised goddess ask for in a mortal kitchen. The recipe I told you to keep in your pocket. Thousands of tired walkers at the end of 14 dark miles, drinking the drink of her sorrow. Friend. Tasting what she tasted at the low point of the story, just before the kindness of a human house began to turn it. Every sip was a sentence in a language of memory. Friend, we were with you. We remember the worst night. We drank it too. And then, friend, they went in. There was a hall at Eleusis built for this one night. The Telesterion. And it was like no temple in Greece. Friend, temples were houses for gods, porches and pillars. You worshipped outside them. This was a hall for people, a vast square forest of columns with stone steps rising around the walls, room for thousands standing together in the dark, indoors, at night, which in the ancient world almost never happened. Friend, and the doors closed, and whatever came next, friend, came next, and here, friend, I stop. Here everyone stops, because they kept the secret. I want you to feel the size of that. Friend, because I promised you at the start of tonight a wonder in this chapter, and this is the wonder. 2,000 years. Friend, thousands of initiates every single autumn, millions of human beings, over the whole run, walked through those doors, philosophers and farmhands, playwrights, generals, at least a few Roman emperors, gossips and drunks and poets, every kind of person who cannot keep a secret. Friend, and the secret was kept. Athens made revealing it a capital crime. But law alone never sealed anything for 20 centuries. Friend, something in that hall closed people's mouths on its own authority. The old hymn said, "Reverence stops the voice." And apparently, friend, it simply did. We have jokes from Greek comedy that walk up to the edge and wink and go silent. We have philosophers who write, "I would tell you," but the best-kept secret in the history of the human race, friend, is not a state secret or a treasure map. It is whatever happened in the dark at Eleusis on one autumn night a year. What leaked, friend, across 2,000 years, is almost nothing. And I will hand you the almost. The ancient writers say the night held 3 kinds of things said, friend, things done, and things shown. That is the outline of a mystery, and no more. The shadow of a ceremony thrown on a wall, and from very late sources, friend, from writers of a rival new faith straining to expose the old one, comes a single claim about the final moment, and scholars have argued about it for centuries, and I give it to you as the fragile thing it is. They said that at the peak of the night, out of darkness and fire and the crash of a great gong, in a sudden flood of light, with thousands watching in total silence, the priest of Eleusis lifted up for all to see, friend, the holy thing itself, the heart of the whole mystery, an ear of wheat, friend, one cut stalk of grain. That may be true, friend, and it may be a hostile rumor, and after 20 centuries, not one soul on this earth can tell you which, but I can tell you why it rings true. Friend, why scholars keep circling back to it, because you have kept this whole night with me, and you know the story that hall was built on. What is an ear of wheat, friend, to the people of this story? It is the daughter of the seed that went down into the dark. It is the thing that was buried alive and came back golden. Hold up one stalk of cut grain in the dark of autumn to a crowd who has just fasted and walked and wept through the whole drama of the mother and the girl. Friend, and you have said, without one word. The entire sentence our knight has been building. Nothing that goes down stays down, and whatever it was they saw in there. Friend, hear now the one thing the initiates were allowed to say afterward. The one thing they did say, over and over, generation after generation, in letters and epitaphs and memoirs across 2,000 years. The only report ever filed from inside. They came out, friend, and they said, in 100 wordings, one sentence, we are no longer afraid to die, Cicero. Friend, the coldest legal mind Rome ever produced. A man who took apart other men's beliefs for a living, was initiated, and wrote afterward that of everything Athens ever gave the world, and Athens gave the world nearly everything, nothing was better than the mysteries, for they had taught not only how to live with joy, he said, but how to die with hope. Plutarch wrote to his own wife, after they lost their little daughter. Friend, a private letter between two grieving parents, and in it he reminds her gently of what they both saw at Eleusis, and tells her that because of it he knows the soul is not destroyed, and you can feel him in that letter. Friend, a father in the worst season of a life, leaning his whole weight on one remembered night in a dark hall, and the night holding him, that is what got built on the hill above the well. Friend, not a monument to a myth, a machine for hope. Friend, run every autumn for 2,000 years, powered by this one story. The mother, the torches, the girl who went down and came back up. Rome fell on it eventually, the way Rome in its Christian centuries fell on all the old lights, and the hall of the mysteries went dark for good about 16 centuries ago. And even then, friend, even in the ruins, nobody talked. The mother lost her daughter every autumn, friend, and every autumn for 2,000 years. 14 miles of human torchlight walked out into the dark to look for her too, and came home unafraid. Her star is not in the sky. Friend, her sign was never up there. Her sign was always in the ground, and it is in the ground outside your window right now, this very October night, sleeping in the frost, waiting for its cue. One chapter left. Friend, let us go count what she left behind. Now, friend, the grey hour, the night is nearly spent. The frost outside has finished its quiet work across the lawns of this whole time zone, and you have kept the watch all the way down and all the way back up. So take out the key, friend, the one I pressed into your pocket in the meadow at the very start, and again in her mother's sunlit world, and told you would open the last door. Take out the name, Kore, the girl, the maiden, just that, friend, a common noun wearing a name's clothes. Springtime with a face. That is what the whole bright half of the world called her. Forever. Even after everything. Walk into her temples beside her mother's. Friend. And that is the name on the altar. The two goddesses. The mother and the girl. And the worshippers bringing first fruits and wedding garlands prayed to a laughing daughter in a green field. And meant it. And down the road, friend, sometimes in the same town, sometimes within sight, stood other shrines, darker doorways, oaths and curse tablets and midnight rites, and the power those altars served was the dread queen below, the Iron Lady of the last courtroom, and worshippers flinched from her true name and called her the revered one, the unnameable, and meant that too. Two names, friend, two altars, two entirely different weathers of prayer. And the Greeks, the most honest storytellers who ever worked, knew the whole time, friend, and said it quietly when they said it at all. the way you say a thing too heavy to say loudly. It was one girl. It was always one girl. Friend, the maiden in the meadow with the half-filled basket, and the queen whose name closed mouths. One person, the child who screamed for her father as the ground took her, and the sovereign who welded heroes into stone chairs for planning against her. One person, the daughter who ran across a dead field into her mother's arms like a bird coming home, and the judge on the black throne whose wet cheeks freed a dead bride for the length of one climb. Friend, one person, one heart, one history, wearing two names, because the truth of her was too large to fit under one, and here is the final turn of the key. Friend, the reason I saved her name for last. The Greeks did not split her because she was broken. They split her because she was whole. Friend, and her wholeness frightened them and comforted them in the same breath. Because of what it meant. It meant the springtime and the grave know each other. Friend, it meant the power that opens the crocuses and the power that reigns over the silent fields are on speaking terms. Our family. Are. At the bottom of everything. The same girl walking the same yearly road. Every other god in the family got one kingdom. Friend, one address, one job. She is the only being in that whole crowded pantheon who holds citizenship on both sides of the one border that matters. And she did not get that double passport by conquest. Friend, and she did not get it by marriage. Not really. She got it the way you get everything that is truly yours. She lived it. Friend, she was taken down against her will, and she grew up into the dark, and she came back, changed, and then she kept coming back, both directions, every year, forever, until the road down and the road up were both simply hers. She belonged to two worlds. Friend, and so the two worlds, ever since, have belonged a little to each other. That is the whole gift of her. Before her story, death was a wall. After it, friend, death was a door with a season on its hinges. And 14 miles of torchlight walked toward that door every autumn for 2,000 years. Unafraid, and her story never ended. Friend, that is the last wonder I have for you. And I saved it the way you save the best. Her story is still running. Friend, right now, tonight, all around your ordinary American life, hiding in plain sight, and in these last minutes before sleep. Let me empty the pockets of the night onto your nightstand. One small, bright thing at a time. Start with tomorrow morning. Friend, somebody in your house, or next door, or in 10 million kitchens across this country, is going to shuffle in half awake and pour breakfast out of a cardboard box, and printed right there on the box. Friend, in letters nobody reads anymore, is her mother. The word is cereal. Friend, it comes straight from Ceres, which is the name Rome gave to Demeter, the lady of the grain herself, the mother with the torches, every bowl of cereal in America. Friend, every single morning, says grace to the searching mother without knowing it, before the coffee is even on, 3,000 years after the last torch went out at Eleusis. Friend, she is still the first name spoken in the American kitchen, and nobody hears it. And I think, friend, being who she is, the working goddess, the one with dirt under her nails, she would like that better than any temple. Now the fruit. Friend, this week, in your own grocery store, go stand in the produce section. There is a bin there. Friend, right now, that is empty most of the year, and it is full tonight, because pomegranates in this country come ripe in October and November. Friend, the exact weeks the frost arrives, the exact turn of the calendar when the queen goes below. The season of the fruit is the season of the going down. Friend, still on schedule in every supermarket in America. And if you buy one, friend, and break it open, the juice will stain your fingers red, and it will not wash off easy. And you will stand at your kitchen sink, scrubbing at the evidence. Friend, and now you will smile, because now you know the whole case. It is evidence in Now Drive West. Friend, in your mind, out into the big middle of this country. Kansas, Nebraska, the wheat plains. Because right now, friend, this exact week of frost, the farmers out there are doing the strangest thing in American agriculture, and not one in 1,000 of them calls it religion. They are planting, friend, in the fall. It is called winter wheat, and it works exactly one way. You bury the living seed in October, friend, right before the cold, and the seed sprouts just barely, and then the snow comes down and covers it, and it waits, alive, under the frozen ground, all winter long, in the dark, in the below, and in spring it comes up gold, millions of acre. Friend, most of the bread in this country begins as a seed deliberately sent down into the dark to outlast the winter. Friend, and every October, the plains of America perform the entire faith of Demeter at industrial scale, and call it best practice. The mysteries closed 16 centuries ago. Friend, the liturgy just moved to Kansas. Now look up. Friend, one last time. Way up, past the frost and the stars you can see, to the far cold edge of everything. In the year 1930, astronomers found the last world of our solar system, a small dark planet at the outermost rim, farther from the sun than anything, a world of permanent night, and the name it carries, friend, was suggested by an 11-year-old girl at her breakfast table in England, a child named Venetia Burney, who knew her myths, and who said, "It is dark and far away and cold. Call it Pluto, the king of the dead. Friend, the Roman name for the quiet eldest brother, the rich one." And the astronomers heard an 11-year-old girl and knew a true thing when it was said to them. And so, the Lord of the underworld holds the outermost border of the map to this day. Friend, exactly where he has always held it. The far edge, the dark portion, the last lot in the helmet. And they even took it further. Friend, and they did not know they were doing it. In 2006, the astronomers voted, and Pluto was demoted. Friend, struck from the list of true planets, downgraded, the way his kingdom was always the downgraded lot. And across this whole country, friend, actual grown Americans were genuinely upset about it, wrote letters, made bumper stickers, defended him. 3,000 years. Friend, and the quiet brother finally has what he never once asked for, a public that took his side, and one more from that same dark family. Friend, and then the nightstand is full. When the physicists of the last century pulled a new element out of the deep of matter, a heavy grey metal born in the dark, sleeping in the ground, holding inside it the most terrible energy human hands have ever touched, they reached for a name, friend, and they named it plutonium, the wealth of the underworld, friend, and the danger of it, sealed in one word, the treasure that ruins the ones who grasp it. The Greeks had no reactors. Friend, they had the plot, so there it all is. Friend, spread out on the nightstand, her mother in the cereal box, her fruit in the produce bin, right on time, her faith in the wheat fields, 1,000,000 acres wide, her husband on the edge of the map and inside the atom, the whole family, friend, still on duty, still keeping their stations in your ordinary week. 3,000 years after the first frost there ever was. Which brings us home, friend, to your window, to tonight. Listen, there is nothing to hear out there. And that is it. Friend, that is the whole event. Frost makes no sound. It is only cold air moving low across the grass, slow as a woman walking, touching the green things one at a time. And each thing it touches lets go. Friend, pulls its life down out of the leaves, down the stem, down into the root, into the ground, into the safe deposit, dark, where the quiet king and the two-named queen keep everything the world is afraid of losing. The mother is beginning her count. Friend, out there on your lawn, right now, tonight is the first night of the counting, and the cold you feel at the edges of the window is not the world dying. Friend, it is the world's daughter, going home to her other house, and the world's mother, watching her go, the way she watches every single year, holding the treaty in one hand and the calendar in the other. Let them have their winter. Friend, it is only the dark half of a promise that has never once been broken. The seed is down. The girl is down. The books of the year are sealed. And everything, friend, everything is exactly where the treaty says it should be. And you, friend, you have kept the whole vigil tonight. The lottery and the meadow, the 9 days and the 2 torches, the child in the fire, the year, nothing grew, the 6 seeds, the wet cheeks of the queen, the river of torchlight, the boy in the box, all of it, start to finish, 1 girl, 2 names, and now there is only one thing left in the whole story for you to do. And it is the thing the story has been asking of you, gently, all night long. Go down. Friend, let sleep take you the way the ground takes the seed. Not as a loss. Friend, never as a loss. As a planting. Nothing that goes down stays down. Not the seed. Not the girl. Not the sun. Not you. She has kept the appointment every spring for 3,000 years. Friend, and she has never once been late. And when you wake tomorrow, look out at the lawn before you look at anything else. The frost will be lying on the grass in the first light, white and thin and already melting. Friend, and you will know exactly what it is now, because you kept this watch. It is her signature. Friend, left overnight on every yard in America, received in full. It says, will return in spring. Sleep now. Friend, she always comes back, and every morning. So far, so does the sun.